Hi everyone, part 6 of Excited for the Divorce Money. Then my wife heard my thoughts officially begins here. Before the video starts, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for your support. I never expected that in just a few short months, I would have finished all the drama in the Lunas family. To keep the entertainment coming as a man of leisure, I decided to return to the entertainment industry. My CEO wife gave a casual nod and immediately arranged for me to work at the studio of her superstar younger brother, Leo. When my manager, Felix, told me that the other guests for the show were drama magnets, I was instantly thrilled. The lineup included a movie queen who had a secret marriage and her former legendary on-screen partner from a once famous idol drama, a xianxia goddess paired with the current girlfriend of her own ex-boyfriend, a veteran actor with a doting husband, Image, and his high society wife, a woman once blacklisted by the entire industry, known as the most beautiful consort Yang, a rising starlet who had just broken up, only to be forced to collaborate with her ex-boyfriend's mother in a joint show. With this much drama, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. Felix moved fast. As soon as the negotiations with the production team were finalized, he used the Leo Studio account to post 2 announcements. Leo Studio has officially signed its second artist, Ethan. Rookie Ethan will participate in the show, My Acting Credentials. As soon as the news broke, the internet exploded. Just as Felix predicted, every group of guests was legendary. I scrolled through Weibo reading rumors on the public forums, grinning from ear to ear. Even if they weren't all true, they were a blast to read. First, the cold movie queen and her former on-screen partner. They were originally seniors and juniors at the same agency. When their CP, couple pairing, was at its peak, the actor was sent abroad to develop his career. Years passed with no achievements, and now he's returned to the domestic scene. The first thing he does? Join the hottest live-stream show with the movie queen to ride her coattails and revive their old couple brand. They quickly became the show's biggest attraction. The slogans from the Yi Ching Hui, their couple name, fans reignited, and they dominated the show's traffic. Previously, paparazzi had caught them entering and leaving the same location. There were even shots of the movie queen linking arms with him in a restaurant, the two of them smiling at each other. Another blurry shot showed him pulling her into an embrace. The atmosphere was thick with ambiguity. It felt like a goddess's return and a reunion of old flames, making everyone anticipate their reconciliation. I looked at the leaked photos, grinning so wide my face hurt. If the news broke that the movie queen was actually married and engaging in such boundary-crossing behavior with another man, she would undoubtedly be crucified by the public. Felix pushed up his glasses, commenting calmly, "To keep a marriage secret for years without a single leak, that takes some serious skill." Her agency putting her on this show means they've tacitly approved this scandal-driven marketing strategy. This approach is incredibly beneficial for the actor, but it is nothing for her. However, as of now, she's the only one in that company with the power to make the final call. Peach asked curiously, "So, do they actually have feelings for each other? Paparazzi shots can be misunderstood, after all." Felix shrugged. "I personally don't see what he has that would make a movie queen go to such lengths for him. There might be another reason." I mused to myself. The entertainment industry is certainly generous. I can't believe a husband could tolerate his wife being that intimate with another man. Felix laughed. "Rumor has it the husband owns shares in her agency. This is just how the game is played in showbiz. Divorce is the real financial loss. There's no need for it." After a round of gossip, I hadn't found any new bombshells, so I decided to just wait and see. That evening, I returned to the Lunas Manor. Everyone knew we were about to join the variety show together. Mrs. Lu was beyond excited. "This is the first time our Ethan is doing a live broadcast. I'll definitely watch every second of it." Leo and Mia chimed in. "We'll be watching too." Leo looked utterly helpless. "I've been on shows before. How come I never saw you guys this excited?" Mrs. Lu rolled her eyes. "You're not as handsome as Ethan." Mr. Lu advised me, "Don't be nervous. If anything happens, let Leo handle it. If you're not having fun, you can come home anytime. As for any breach of contract fees, your wife will pay them for you." Leo was speechless, his heart full of questions. I responded politely to everyone, but internally, I was determined. I have to stick it out to the end no matter what. There's too much live drama waiting for me to witness. The next 2 months are going to be a blast. The Lunas family members were all startled. Another massive drama to watch. They all turned their gaze toward Leo simultaneously. Seeing Leo jump in surprise, Mia quickly spoke up. Leo, I'm almost done with my latest painting, so I'll have some free time. Can I be your assistant on set? Leo's lip twitched.
Fine.
If you're free, you can come. Mr. and Mrs. Liu spoke up excitedly as well. Then can we visit the set too? Leo narrowed his eyes at them. You can, but not every day. The parents were overjoyed, unable to hide their excitement. Claire, however, sighed helplessly. I still have to take care of the baby. Little Julliam looked at Mia and his grandmother with pitiful eyes, and the two women gave him a reassuring glance, silently promising to share every bit of juicy gossip with him. Meanwhile, Luna, who was constantly being overlooked by the family while acting as their primary money-making machine, watched the scene with a melancholic, weary gaze. Leo suddenly reminded me. Manager Felix said we don't have a brand sponsor for your wardrobe yet, so you'll have to prepare your own outfits, Ethan. I thought for a moment and replied, I have plenty of clothes in my closet. I'll just have a stylist pick out what's suitable. Mrs. Liu immediately jumped to my defense. How could that be enough? For a big show like this, you must wear the latest season's pieces. I'll have the Lunas Group's partners send over some collections. Claire suggested. I was actually planning to take Julian shopping. Why don't we all go together tomorrow? I immediately looked toward Leo. He reluctantly agreed, viewing it as a small sweetener for this lazy lounger who had been working so hard to flip his life around lately. Mia added regretfully, I have to paint, otherwise I'd go with you guys. Next time, Mrs. Liu comforted her. Then she turned to Luna, who was quietly sipping her tea. Luna, will you come shopping with us tomorrow? Claire chimed in. After all, we're going to the Lunas Group mall right next to your office. Without thinking much, Luna nodded. All right, I'll finish up my work and meet you all there. The next day, I finally got to sleep until I woke up naturally. After a light brunch, I headed to the mall with Mrs. Liu, Claire, and little Julian. After stopping by 2 children's clothing stores, it was time for lunch. We picked a restaurant, but as soon as we walked in, we ran into a man who looked completely flustered. Claire stopped him. Mr. Wood, what are you doing here? I looked at the man. He was around Claire's age, wearing a black hat, and looked quite unwell. Drake forced a smile. Dr. Claire, about your request. Claire's expression turned serious. You shouldn't be here. Drake looked flustered. I'll leave as soon as I'm done buying these things. I won't disturb your meal. See you later. With that, he turned and bolted. Claire sighed helplessly. Don't run so fast. Mrs. Liu was curious. Who is he? Claire's voice was heavy. A patient at the hospital. He's been admitted for quite a while. Claire manages a private hospital that caters exclusively to the wealthy. If her mood was this somber, it was highly likely that the patient's prognosis wasn't good. Not wanting to dwell on it, we began ordering our food. Once lunch was over, Luna arrived, and we split into groups to shop. Mrs. Liu, Claire, and Julian headed back to the children's boutiques, while Luna and I went to the men's luxury stores. In the VIP lounge of the first store, I spotted Drake and a red-haired man wearing sunglasses locked in a heated argument. Beside them stood a sales assistant who looked incredibly awkward. Hearing someone call him Drake, I froze. Luna leaned down and whispered to me, Ethan, isn't it the husband of the secretly married movie queen Lily? I was shaken. How does she even know information that's kept this tightly under wraps? Luna looked away self-consciously. You're about to join that show. Naturally, I had to look into the partners you'd be working with. The two men seemed on the verge of an all-out fight. Instantly hooked, I pulled Luna closer to eavesdrop. Here's the drama. The secret husband versus the on-screen CP partner. This is a massive scoop. It seemed Drake hadn't pre-ordered the suit. Rather, the other man had snatched it first, or perhaps it simply didn't suit him. Marcus smirked nonchalantly. Besides, I've already decided to buy it. So that was it. It wasn't a chance encounter. He had come here specifically to pick a fight with Drake. Drake's face was deathly pale, clearly seething with rage. You really have no shame. Even behind the sunglasses, you could see Marcus's expression shift for a split second. I'm not fighting for anything. There are some things that are destined to belong to whoever they belong to. Forcing a claim is useless. As he spoke, he lightly brushed his hand over the gray suit, his eyes brimming with smugness. Was he talking about the clothes or the person? The sales assistant was drenched in sweat. Everyone understood the subtext of this verbal sparring, but no one dared to offend either side. Luna looked at me, pressed against the counter, eyes glued to the scene, and then at the sales assistant, who was forcing a professional smile. She signaled the staff to hold off on serving us for a moment, so I could finish my meal of juicy gossip. This kind of script was clearly a classic confrontation between the legal spouse and the mistress. Those who work in this industry witness scenes like this all the time. Just as I was lost in thought, the sharp-eyed counterstaff sensed something unusual behind them. They turned around and nearly jumped out of their skin. Good grief, Mrs. Lou and Claire, with little Julian in tow, were hiding behind a distant counter, peeking over. I gestured for the staff to step aside, so they wouldn't block our line of sight. Since anyone allowed into the VIP room must have high social standing, the staff obediently moved, making room for the gossip committee to settle in. Luna turned her head, and her face instantly darkened. She saw Mrs. Lou and Claire frantically signaling her to stay quiet with finger-to-lip gestures. Only little Julian stood there looking completely bewildered. Mrs. Lou and Claire had originally wanted to eavesdrop on how Luna and I were getting along alone. As it turned out, the moment they stepped in, they heard the drama about the suit. How could they possibly leave now? On the other side of the room, the argument raged on. I managed to piece together some conclusions. Online, Marcus maintains an image of an intellectual straight-A student, handsome, kind, and refined. But seeing him boldly provoke the legal husband like this made it clear. There really is something going on between Marcus and Lily. Since I was witnessing this firsthand today, I had to verify the details. The Lunas family members immediately perked up their ears. So that was it. Wasn't this just the tired old trope of childhood sweethearts losing out to a sudden romance? The couple had been together for many years and married for 3. Then Lily met a junior who had just joined the agency. They collaborated on a film, playing lovers. As they filmed, something started to feel off. The elders of both families realized Lily was giving Marcus special treatment. To preserve family harmony, they nipped it in the bud early, sending Marcus abroad to develop his career. Back then, Marcus chose the money. As it turned out, his career abroad never took off, and he ended up marrying a wealthy older woman there. After wasting 4 years, he finally divorced and returned to seek Lily's protection. He felt that Drake had ruined his entire life. He believed if he hadn't been sent away with his potential, he would have been a movie king by now. Now that he had nothing, he wanted to reclaim the career and the woman he felt belonged to him. I was seething internally. How can a homewrecker be so brazen nowadays? It was his own choice back then. Mrs. Lou and Claire were also beyond furious after hearing the subtext, especially Claire. Knowing Drake's medical condition, she felt an even deeper sense of empathy for him. Then, I finally caught a glimpse of the deeper information regarding Drake. I sucked in a sharp breath, my mind going blank for a moment. I looked at Drake with a complicated gaze. Is this how you treat a lover who has been by your side for so many years? Lily hasn't explicitly reciprocated Marcus's feelings, but she protects him at every turn. Isn't this just a tangled, lingering mess? They are only one thin veil away from exposing it all. Is she just waiting for the perfect chance to commit adultery? It's clear that this variety show is going to be a total disaster. Mrs. Lou and Claire were fuming. They wanted nothing more than to tear off that man's hypocritical mask right then and there. Luna frowned slightly as well, thinking to herself that men are truly untrustworthy. Even a long-term bond like this can be betrayed. Love is truly worthless. I shot a quick glance at Luna, thinking helplessly, please, let's not make this a gender-wide attack. The sales assistant, fearing the situation would escalate, hurriedly tried to follow protocol. If Drake made the payment, he could take the suit. Everyone expected Marcus to keep causing trouble, but when he heard the price from the assistant, he chuckled mockingly. That expensive? Can brother Drake even afford it? Drake's face was ghostly pale as he pulled out a black card and handed it to the staff. However, the assistant's expression quickly froze. I'm so sorry, sir. The transaction won't go through. It seems the card has been locked. Drake nearly lost his footing. The only person who could lock that card was Lily. Marcus sneered triumphantly. Out of money? It looks like some things really were meant to be yours. The assistant was mortified. Drake gritted his teeth, pulling out every card and bit of cash he had, but he still couldn't scrape enough together. The onlookers were stunned. The tables had turned in the most humiliating way. I was livid. It turns out Marcus knew all along that Drake's card was blocked. Lily handled it right in front of him, saying she wanted to teach Drake a lesson. The Lunas family was shocked. To think Lily would go that far? I was so angry I wanted to dig deeper into just how foolish this cool movie queen really was, but before I could, Marcus exposed himself. He said smugly, "Who told you to trick me into those wine parties? Letting those women pour drinks down my throat." I almost got into serious trouble. Lily said since you have enough money to arrange those parties, she might as well lock your card, so you can't keep hurting people. Drake's expression shifted violently. I didn't do that. It wasn't me. Marcus let out a cold laugh. I don't have any other enemies here. The only person who wants me to suffer is you. If it wasn't you, then who? Standing there, I was boiling over with rage. It was obviously Marcus who staged the whole thing. He pretended to follow Drake's arrangements to the party, then messaged Lily halfway through saying something was wrong and begging her to save him. It was a complete self-directed drama. It turns out Marcus isn't just a simple homewrecker. He's a calculating snake, playing the victim to win Lily's pity and trust. Lily is a total blockhead. She interrogated Drake, but didn't listen to a single word of his explanation, blindly assuming he was the culprit. It's true what they say. Once someone is biased, even their basic intelligence rots away. Her interrogation was nothing more than a performance to force Drake to admit guilt. When he wouldn't confess, she simply left in a cold, disappointed huff, started a cold war, and locked his cards. The Lunas family members were speechless, feeling a suffocating knot of frustration in their chests. Even though it was someone else's private business, this level of injustice made their blood boil. She's acting like a total scumbag woman, protecting the homewrecker while abandoning her own husband. Drake never imagined the card lockout was because of that. He had still believed Lily understood him, that she knew he was incapable of such a thing, and he even trusted that she and Marcus wouldn't cross the line. As it turns out, from start to finish, she never trusted him. She actually believed he would harm Marcus. Drake was heartbroken to realize that years of devotion hadn't earned him even a shred of faith. At this point, he stopped thinking about romance and just wanted to maintain some dignity in front of Marcus. Lacking the funds, he tried calling Lily, but she didn't pick up. He had no choice but to call her assistant. The assistant's reply left Drake's face deathly pale. Watching this unfold, I truly couldn't stop myself from fuming. Exactly. You can never rely on a woman's card. Look at what this so-called wife is doing, locking her husband's card for the sake of another man. Is she sick? It's clearly communal marital property, yet she acts as if she's the sole decision-maker. Is that fair? Mrs. Liu and Claire nodded in agreement. Not fair at all. Luna felt a chill down her spine, feeling as though the reputation of spouses everywhere was being dragged through the mud. Marcus mocked, "If Brother Drake doesn't have the money, then I won't be polite." Drake snapped back, "I don't have the money, but do you? You returned to the country empty-handed without even a job. How are you going to buy this? You're just trying to pick a fight with me." Marcus smiled thinly and pulled out a membership card. The staff immediately recognized it as a high-level VIP card and checked it. Drake's expression shifted instantly. He remembered that this store often provided custom outfits for stars, and Lily had a premium VIP card here. However, since she rarely bought this type of clothing, she had never made a supplementary card for him. Usually, swiping her black card was enough. Drake's eyes trembled, and cold sweat broke out. Then the sales assistant spoke up awkwardly. "This is a supplementary card under Ms. Lily's account. It can be used to charge the purchase directly." The onlookers stood frozen, their jaws nearly hitting the floor. It turned out that because they were joining the show together and Lily knew Marcus had no money, she had specially made a supplementary card for him to spend. I was absolutely floored. The husband has no supplementary card, but the mistress does. This is the ultimate humiliation for a legal spouse. Drake was breathing heavily, his chest heaving with suppressed rage. A second later, Marcus let out a triumphant laugh. "What's wrong? Did Lily not give Brother Drake a supplementary card?" "How despicable." I fumed. Mrs. Liu and Claire were equally disgusted by this level of vileness. But it got even worse. Marcus picked up the suit, held it against himself to check the mirror, and took a photo. He sent it along with a voice message. "Lily, what do you think of this one?" The reply came almost instantly. Drake's pupils contracted. It turned out she hadn't picked up his call because she was too busy responding to Marcus. Marcus tapped the message, and Lily's cold voice echoed through the room. "It looks great. It suits you." Drake stumbled back, his entire body trembling with fury. What an absolute scumbag. Even Mrs. Liu and Claire had to admit this was wickedness reaching the heavens. Marcus smiled and added another voice note. I actually thought this suit looked good on my brother-in-law, so I was going to buy it as a gift for him. Lily's voice replied. No need. It wouldn't suit him. You look better in it. He should be the one apologizing to you. The next second, slap. Drake lunged forward and delivered a stinging blow directly to Marcus's face. Marcus's sunglasses and phone went flying, clattering onto the floor. The crowd stood frozen for a second before letting out a collective sigh of relief. Great hit. Marcus shrieked. You dare hit me? He lunged to strike back, but I immediately shouted, Is this still a place of business or a boxing ring? The staff rushed in to intervene, pulling the two men apart. Marcus shot me a glare, but his focus remained on Drake. He said coldly, since Lily already said I look better in it, I'm buying it. He was desperate to twist the knife one last time. But right at that moment, I spoke up loudly. Actually, I'm contesting this suit. No, I'm buying it. I had been watching this clash between the legal husband and the male mistress from the sidelines, but to make things truly interesting, I declared, I want this suit. Before stepping out, I whispered to Luna, You're the biggest treasure of this entire mall, right? Luna looked dazed. Yes. In other words, I can do whatever I want here? I suppose so, she replied. Then I'm taking that suit. Luna seemed to have guessed my plan. She immediately pulled out her phone and sent a message to her executive assistant. Honestly, she felt that if we didn't act now, the two women hiding behind the counter wouldn't be able to hold back much longer anyway. The Lunas family was naturally a passionate bunch. The moment I shouted, a sigh of relief echoed from the gossip committee behind us. The people in front turned around in shock, clearly not expecting a third party to jump into the fray so suddenly. Drake looked at me with confusion. He didn't recognize me at first until he spotted Claire standing further back. He remembered seeing us at lunch. Although he was deeply embarrassed to have a stranger witness him in such a pathetic state, he seemed to realize we were trying to help. Marcus stared at me, baffled. Are you a friend of Brother Drake? I don't know him, Drake answered truthfully. Marcus grew even more confused. Sir, I've already claimed this suit. You haven't paid yet, so how is it claimed? I smiled. I think I look much better in it than you do. Marcus was stunned. He turned back to the sales assistant and snapped, I'm signing the invoice. Wrap it up. But before the assistant could print the receipt, every staff member in the store received a sudden command through their earpieces. The assistant who was about to process the payment turned pale and immediately handed the supplementary card back to Marcus. What is the meaning of this? Marcus snapped. We are deeply sorry, sir, the store manager explained. The manager has instructed that this suit is no longer for sale to the general public. As an apology, we would like to offer you a 10% discount on any other items. You won't sell it to me, but you're going to sell it to him? Marcus pointed a shaking finger at Ethan, unable to believe his ears. As the sales assistant stood there awkwardly, Ethan stepped forward and produced the membership card Luna had provided. The moment the assistant saw it, her eyes lit up. It was the first time she had ever seen a top-tier Crown membership card in person. Sir, would you like to purchase this suit? She asked Ethan respectfully. Ethan nodded. No problem. Do I need to try it on? Wait. Marcus was nearly vibrating with rage. Sir, the assistant turned back to Marcus. This is the store's highest level membership. It unlocks the right to purchase any restricted or not-for-sale items. To be frank, Mr. Marcus, even if this were Ms. Lily's primary card, she wouldn't have the authority to override this, let alone a supplementary card. That single sentence turned Marcus's face a deep, humiliated crimson. He shot Ethan one last hateful look and stormed out of the store. Drake turned to thank Claire, but she had already slipped away to avoid the drama. In the end, he could only give Ethan and Luna a small, weary nod of gratitude before leaving. The real intent once Drake had left, Ethan prepared to head to the fitting room. Do you really want that suit? Luna asked, genuinely surprised. Do you actually like it? I love it. Really? Has your taste in fashion changed that much? Think about it. Ethan grinned. Just imagine Marcus's face when he sees me wearing this exact suit during the filming of the reality show. I'm going to enjoy every second of it. Luna was speechless. So it's that kind of liking, she thought. Meanwhile, Drake walked out of the store in a daze. The moment he stepped outside, his phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, his expression turned ice cold. He answered, only to hear a familiar, chilling voice. So, you hit someone and then ran off to tattle? Lily's voice was full of accusation. Drake let out a hollow laugh. If not for this, I suppose I wouldn't have heard from you for the rest of my life. It seems you still aren't repenting, Lily said coldly. Repent for what? For things I never did? For the way you two framed me? For the fact that my wife blocked my cards over another man? Maybe I should seriously consider whether I need to change wives. Drake, you've truly changed. I don't even recognize you anymore. Do you really not trust me? Marcus and I are innocent. We've already done enough wrong by him. I just want to compensate him on your behalf. If you're going to keep acting like this, perhaps we should just get a divorce. Hearing the word divorce, Drake's entire body went stiff. Now, Lily commanded, go and apologize to Marcus. He stood frozen in place for a long time. You won't even ask what actually happened? No matter what happened, it isn't an excuse for you to lay a hand on someone. I really don't know you anymore, Lily said. Since you're the one who brought it up, fine. Let's get a divorce. Fine, Drake replied, his voice heavy with exhaustion. Let's divorce. The other party was silent for a moment, then gritted her teeth. I am serious. I'm not just throwing a tantrum. Neither am I, Drake replied. The voice on the other end seemed incredibly frustrated, taking a deep breath. How long are you going to keep being this unreasonable? Drake, you are truly eroding every bit of love I have for you. Fine, your mistakes, and in the end, I'm the one who has to fix them. Just stay there and calm down by yourself. Once I've helped Marcus get his career back on track, we'll talk. Drake tried to say something more, but she had already hung up, giving him no chance to explain. He felt a sudden tightness in his chest. His vision went dark, and he collapsed backward. Two people rushed to catch him. When he turned his head, he saw Claire smiling awkwardly at him. As it turned out, Esther and her mother had still been lingering near the shop entrance, hesitating between following us or continuing their own shopping. Instead, they ran right into Drake, making his phone call. They had heard every single word of the conversation and were livid. Seeing Drake's ghastly complexion, Claire didn't feel it was the right time to say much else. Let me take you to the hospital. By the time Ethan and Luna prepared to head home that evening, they only found Mrs. Liu and little Julian. It was then they learned that Claire had taken Drake to the hospital. Having found someone to share the gossip with, Mrs. Liu immediately filled Ethan in. Hearing the details of that phone call, Ethan's eyes widened in shock. Leo, sitting at the table, was even more incredulous. We only went out for a stroll, and somehow you managed to unearth the entire private life of the first group of guests. When Claire finally returned, everyone tried to be polite about patient confidentiality, yet they couldn't stop staring at her expectantly. Claire sighed helplessly. He's truly pitiful. From the moment he was admitted until now, he's been completely alone. I heard his parents have passed away, and as for his wife, didn't he tell his wife about his illness? Mrs. Liu asked worriedly. He did, Claire replied, but she didn't believe him. She told him he was just acting to trick her and compete for her affection, even accusing him of cursing his own body just for attention. After that, he decided a wife like her didn't deserve to know the truth. Claire shook her head. It's a terminal illness. We don't even know how much longer he has. It feels like he's using his final days just to spite her. It's so foolish. Although Claire didn't say more, the truth had inadvertently slipped out. A heavy, uncomfortable silence fell over the room. Claire couldn't help but complain further. He's completely refusing to cooperate with the treatment. Even though the hope isn't great even with treatment, giving up like this is, well, there's no pain greater than a dead heart. Mrs. Liu shook her head in sheer frustration. A few days later, I had to film the promotional teaser for the acting program. This was the first official gathering where everyone would meet, followed by a shared dinner party. I excitedly brought along that specific suit. When Felix arrived to pick me up and saw the outfit I had prepared, he praised my excellent taste. Right? I think it's beautiful too, I said, my smile growing even brighter. Leo, who was coming along, couldn't help but shudder. He pulled Felix aside and whispered, "Be careful at all times later. This is a social shark tank." Felix was baffled. Why? Leo patted his shoulder without another word. Felix turned back to look at me, only to see me eagerly scrolling through my phone, devouring online rumors. When we arrived at the filming building, the chief director and the producer came out personally to greet us. I knew Luna had revealed my identity beforehand, so I wasn't surprised by the warm reception. I played the part of a humble, polite, and refined industry newcomer. They were immediately relieved, sensing I wasn't the type to cause trouble. Today we're just shooting a photo series and doing some simple individual and group interviews, the producer explained before leading us to the dressing room. All 5 guest groups shared one massive dressing room to avoid any perception of favoritism. The equipment was top tier, and the space was divided by partitions, so everyone had their own area. The chief director hoped we would spend time together to build rapport and avoid awkwardness during the live broadcast. People arrived at different times. By the time Leo and I walked in, 3 groups were already there. Felix was like a fish in water, scurrying around to network. I was dragged along to greet everyone, reluctantly matching their faces to the scandals I had read about. Since I was a nobody in the industry, they didn't pay much attention to me. But as I looked at each of them, I felt as if everyone had a giant melon hovering over their heads, just waiting for me to pluck it. Only Lily and Marcus's group hasn't arrived yet, someone noted. A staff member with quick access to news laughed. They'll probably be late. You know how the youth are these days. This show might actually become their official dating debut. Some guests joked along, while those who had heard rumors of Lily's secret marriage remained skeptical. Hearing a rumor and confirming it are 2 different things. Those who only knew bits and pieces doubted the marriage's existence. After all, with a scandal this loud, how could a legal spouse remain so silent? Lily had been spotted going to Marcus's apartment in the middle of the night and not leaving until morning. She was truly beyond caring about appearances. I really need to see for myself, I thought. Is this movie queen made of lightning or light? Did she even care? While she was spending the entire night with someone else, her husband was alone, struggling with the grueling side effects of his medical treatment. Leo, who initially had a shred of sympathy for Lily, now only felt like scoffing. Lily's staff entered the room, but neither Lily nor Marcus were with them. Felix and the female manager of a popular Xianxia actor went over to greet Lily's manager, offering some professional pleasantries. We came ahead to prepare, Lily's team explained. The 2 of them will be arriving together shortly. The room went quiet as everyone processed that. They were traveling together from a separate location. The manager wasn't even trying to hide it. She was openly linking them. It seemed this wasn't just a case of an impulsive actress. Even her management had lost all sense of professional boundaries. Felix and the other manager exchanged a brief, knowing glance filled with subtle disdain. Even if Lily's manager was the one who had built her career, she was now acting with an arrogance that bordered on ignorance. At these heights, a single slip is all it takes to plummet into the abyss. Behaving like this was simply handing their rivals a weapon on a silver platter. Meanwhile, while I was getting my makeup done, I overheard a hushed conversation between the stylists across from me. Make sure you go heavy on the contour later. Marcus's face is still swollen, and there's a visible bruise. I heard Lily even apologize to him personally. After all, he was hit because of her. Hearing that, I decided to check my gossip system. It turned out that in order to keep the memory of the incident fresh in Lily's mind, Marcus had been slapping himself in the exact same spot on his face every single morning. Leo's lip twitched. This homewrecker is certainly dedicated to his craft. As everyone continued with their styling and networking, I suddenly leaned over and whispered to Peach. Help me out in a bit. Just follow my lead. Peach's eyes immediately lit up with a mischievous glint. Amidst the noisy, chaotic atmosphere, a sudden wave of gossip energy seemed to radiate outward. One by one, the people in the room fell silent, their ears practically twitching as they tuned into my direction. I targeted that suit on purpose, I said, loud enough for the surrounding ears. Why? Peach asked, playing her part perfectly. Because the 2 people fighting over it from the start were the legal husband and the homewrecker. Peach chimed in. Mr. Ethan, are you saying you were acting as an agent of divine justice? Among the guests, there was an actress who had been plagued by heavy, homewrecker rumors. Hearing this, she assumed I was mocking her and couldn't help but glare in my direction. Simultaneously, the wife of a veteran actor threw an icy, hostile look my way. The actress, however, eventually ignored her own paranoia and got caught up in the details I was describing, becoming curious for more. Even the chief director and the producer, who had just walked in, quickly joined the gossip circle. Once I finished spinning the tale, the atmosphere in the room grew lively again. After all, the private affairs of ordinary people were just an appetizer for this crowd. Right then, a commotion came from outside. Someone important had arrived. I took the opportunity to quickly duck into the dressing room with my assistant to change. All my belongings had already been organized inside. Seeing Lily and Marcus walk in just as I had stepped away, Leo began to curl his toes in sheer secondhand embarrassment. He couldn't even imagine the chaos that would ensue when I finally emerged in my new outfit. Lily and Marcus were the last to arrive. Everyone greeted them warmly, and after some brief networking, people returned to their stations to continue their styling. The chief director and the producer approached the pair to go over some content details. Meanwhile, the other guests couldn't resist whispering about the blatant chemistry between the two. Watching them exchange knowing smiles, everyone felt that an official announcement was surely on the horizon. Among the staff, a few former shippers of the couple couldn't hide their smug, satisfied grins seeing them sitting side by side. The atmosphere was perfectly harmonious until, suddenly, the dressing room door in the distance swung open. As I stepped out wearing that brilliant gray suit, every eye in the room was instantly drawn to me. Even though my styling wasn't finished, my tall stature, cold aura, and naturally pale complexion were striking. Everyone thought the same thing: he's incredibly handsome. It was clear I had a background in modeling. Even without acting, my mere presence commanded the spotlight. However, there were few exceptions. Leo was visibly tense, Lily's brow furrowed, and Marcus looked absolutely stunned. Before Marcus could even react, Lily's eyebrows shot up and she spoke out. "Isn't that the suit Marcus prepared? Sir, did you perhaps put on someone else's clothes by mistake?" Usually, after everyone arrives, their outfits are moved to a common dressing area for the assistants to handle, so they are all kept in one place. She had seen this suit before. It was the one Marcus said he bought specifically for this photo shoot. How could it be on someone else? Unless someone was intentionally being provocative. Lily's face darkened. Even if this newcomer had ties to the Lunas Corporation, he shouldn't be allowed to use his influence to bully people, especially the person she was protecting. Normally, she wouldn't intervene so directly, but Marcus had played the victim in front of her so many times that she had become hypersensitive to any perceived slight against him. But as soon as Lily finished speaking, my staff looked bewildered. My manager glanced over in confusion, and the rest of the room was left completely in the dark. Conflict is inevitable when filming a variety show. Everyone has a status to maintain, and a fair share of pride. However, no one expected the first clash to erupt between a top-tier movie queen and a total newcomer, all over a single suit. Seeing the situation turn sour, Felix reacted instantly, being the first to break the silence. "Ms. Lily, surely there's been a misunderstanding? This suit was purchased personally by our client. Could it be that he just happens to have the same taste as Mr. Marcus? Ha ha ha, what a coincidence, right?" At that moment, Marcus finally snapped out of a shock. He never expected the person he encountered at the mall that day would be a fellow cast member. Remembering the events of that afternoon, his expression shifted rapidly, and he looked visibly flustered, unsure of how to proceed. I suddenly looked toward him, my face a mask of disbelief. "It's you? So, you're Marcus?" The atmosphere in the room turned bizarre in an instant. Everyone's eyes darted back and forth between us. What is going on? It was clear there was history here. And the way the movie queen mentioned the suit earlier, something didn't add up. Marcus looked me up and down. Seeing me standing there looking flustered, he felt he had regained the upper hand. He assumed I didn't even know who he was, and certainly didn't know the full context of that day. In his mind, my current confusion meant I had unknowingly offended someone powerful. "My apologies, it's just a misunderstanding," Marcus said with a forced, awkward smile, playing the part of the helpless victim. "I actually did have my eye on the suit before, and I even sent a photo to Lily. I was prepared to pay for it, but I suppose Mr. Ethan here has better connections." The seller canceled my order, and the suit ended up with him. At that moment, every brain in the room was operating at maximum capacity. Everyone's eyes widened, their pupils trembling with excitement. The drama was so intense they didn't want to miss a single second. They watched Marcus and me with bated breath. After Marcus finished his piece, he even turned to apologize to Lily. "Sorry, Lily, I didn't get a chance to tell you yet." Lily frowned, sensing something was off. However, she remembered another occasion where Marcus had been bullied out of an outfit by someone arrogant and overbearing. She looked at me. I was wearing an uneasy expression, as if I felt guilty for snatching someone else's clothes. Both Lily and Marcus expected that if I had any sense at all, I should be apologizing right now. Yet I gave no reaction. Even Felix looked like he was floating in a fog of confusion. Lily's brows knit tighter. Was my EQ really this low? Despite his internal bitterness at seeing me in the suit, Marcus maintained his generous facade, not wanting to put Lily in a difficult position. It's fine, really. I can see Mr. Ethan likes this suit very much, and it fits him well. Let's just call it a clash of the titans and move on. Haha. Be careful not to drown in your own embarrassment in a minute. Only Leo heard this gloating whisper, and he nearly spat out his water. Everyone else in the room felt their skin crawl. The second-hand embarrassment was becoming physically painful to endure. I should be the one to apologize. I didn't understand the situation just now, so I assumed you had taken Marcus's clothes by mistake, Lily said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. She was oblivious to the expressions of the other groups in the room. No, sister. Even now you haven't grasped the situation at all. What do? I want to laugh so bad. My chest actually hurts from holding it in. The two of them saw that I was still acting awkward, my limbs stiff, appearing as though I were trapped in a long, painful moment of shyness. Lily finally let out a forced, hollow laugh. Let's all make sure to support each other from now on. The onlookers were torn. Should they warn her? But it seemed even her own team hadn't fully processed the shock yet. They had been so busy enjoying the gossip earlier that they didn't realize they were about to become the main course of the melon feast themselves. I couldn't help but study the movie queen in front of me. She truly lived up to her Ice Queen reputation, a face that could be a nation sweetheart, paired with a high-class, elegant aura. I wondered if she could maintain that image for much longer. Fearing that I'd burst out laughing if I didn't leave immediately, I nodded politely and retreated to my corner, wearing an innocent expression of relief. Beside me, Felix had completely turned to stone. Did my artist just cause a catastrophe? He looked incredibly stressed, his mind clearly racing for a way to fix this. If this wasn't handled, it could go down as the biggest PR disaster in talent management history. Leo glanced at Felix with pity, but his heart was racing with anticipation. Once the truth came out, their team wouldn't miss a single highlight on the screen. The other groups felt the same. Some people even shifted their seats just to get a better vantage point. At this point, although Lily and Marcus were unsatisfied with my slow reaction, they considered the matter settled. The two prepared to resume their discussion with the director and the producer. However, they noticed the faces of the director and producer had turned bizarre, their eyes filled with panic. I suddenly remembered, I have some unorganized logistics to handle. The director bolted. Oh, right. I forgot to coordinate the director's schedule. The producer scrambled after him. Lily and Marcus were left standing there, completely bewildered. When they turned around, they discovered that except for their head manager, every single member of their team was looking down, pretending to be intensely busy. The manager's face was deathly pale, his eyes darting frantically between the two of them. He had always despised the man he was constantly pitted against, but this was different. They probably couldn't have found a commercial partner with higher value to pair with the movie queen. No one expected that the story I just told, the battle between the green tea male and the legal husband, was actually about them. And unfortunately for them, everyone in the room had heard it. Marcus felt a wave of unease wash over him. The manager, breaking out in a cold sweat, hurriedly dragged the two of them out. Let's talk outside. The door clicked shut. The studio fell into a dead silence for a few heartbeats, right until a piercing scream from a woman echoed from the hallway. Someone finally couldn't hold it in and blurted out, "WTF?" Immediately after, the entire crew erupted into thunderous laughter. Whispers quickly escalated into a chaotic roar of excitement. Many people looked at me with pure admiration. They couldn't believe I had planned this from the start. They just thought it was a catastrophically perfect coincidence. For Lily and Marcus, this was the ultimate stroke of bad luck. They could thank me for giving them the most unforgettable event of their lives. In all these years, the industry had never seen a drama this gripping. The show hadn't even started filming yet, but the hot news was already spreading like wildfire through the industry. Although Lily's PR team acted quickly, the damage was done. Originally, the forums were filled with posts praising the cool and elegant couple's reunion. Now, opposing views were surfacing, and an anti-fan base was rapidly forming. Marcus looked at me, his face ghostly pale, his fingers trembling as he pointed at me. I really didn't do it on purpose, I said, my gaze as sincere as could be. I widened my innocent eyes and offered a soft, gentle smile. If Lily hadn't been so hell-bent on protecting Marcus, and if Marcus hadn't pinned everything on me in front of her, they might have had a way out. But they dug their own graves. They had no one to blame but themselves. Leo coughed, pulling the trembling Felix back. This can't be blamed on Ethan. They claimed the suit themselves. This is what you call digging a hole and jumping in. I looked at Leo, my eyes full of appreciation. In the hallway, the noise from the studio still echoed. Marcus burst into tears, his face wet with streaks of grief. It's not like that. How could Mr. Ethan make up stories like that? That's not how it happened at all. Lily felt a stinging sensation on her face, as if she had been slapped. It wasn't hard to imagine how the people inside were mocking them. How could I do something like that? Marcus sobbed. My ex-wife kept calling and pestering me, so I went out for a walk. I saw a beautiful suit, and just wanted to share it with you. What? Your ex-wife contacted you again? Lily's heart ached with guilt as she remembered how humiliated he had looked earlier. Marcus shook his head. I've already troubled you and your spouse enough. I didn't want to cause more problems. If we were caught by paparazzi, I don't know how big of a scene your husband would make. I truly don't understand why Mr. Ethan is targeting me like this. Does Brother Drake know him? Lily frowned and searched for her phone to make a call. She realized it had been a very long time since Drake had called her. She didn't realize that, in fact, it had been just as long since she had bothered to call him. The phone rang for a long time before the other party finally picked up. Why did it take you so long to answer? Lily demanded. Are you calling to explain that you were innocent last night? Drake's voice was thick and raspy as he asked. Lily was momentarily speechless, then her anger flared. Enough. How many times do I have to explain that? I don't have time to argue with you. I only have one question. Do you know Ethan? Drake froze. He actually recognized the name because Claire had mentioned it earlier. His brief hesitation caused Lily's tone to drop even further. So, you do know him. What if I do? Drake asked, confused about where she was going with this. Marcus let out a quiet sigh of relief, but his expression quickly shifted to one of indignation. I knew it. They know each other. That day was a deliberate setup against me. Did you not take my warning seriously last time? Lily snapped into the phone. You really are beyond help. Hearing her fury, Drake's brow furrowed even deeper. What on earth are you talking about? The clothes, Lily answered coldly. Drake was stunned for a moment, then let out a faint, bitter laugh. I see. Tell Ethan that if there's a next time, we're getting a divorce, Lily threatened. I don't want to talk to you anymore, Drake replied, his voice flat. This time it was Lily who hung up first. Drake stared blankly at his phone, completely lost as to what had just happened. A second later, a wave of nausea surged within him. After hanging up, Lily was consumed by deep disappointment. She couldn't believe Drake had become so manipulative and calculating. She turned toward Marcus. I'm sorry. On behalf of Drake, I apologize to you. He has truly lost his mind. I will definitely have a serious talk with him later. Hearing the word divorce from Lily's mouth sent a thrill of excitement through Marcus. It was a blessing in disguise. Lily was now siding with him more firmly than ever. His eyes shimmered as he looked at her. However, Lily avoided his gaze. Marcus immediately adjusted his expression, putting on a pitiful, innocent front. Seeing this, Lily's heart softened. In a moment of impulse, she grabbed Marcus by the wrist. I'm taking you in there to set the record straight. Marcus's face instantly paled. He tried to pull her back in a panic, but Lily had already started walking. The dressing room door was kicked open with force. The boisterous, market-like atmosphere from moments ago vanished instantly, replaced by a silence so heavy you could hear a pin drop. No one expected them to come back. Lily, her face dark with rage, dragged Marcus toward me. She looked like she was struggling to maintain her composure, turning her humiliation into a focused fury aimed directly at me. She immediately lashed out. Mr. Ethan? It was one thing for you to snatch Marcus's clothes before, but now you're twisting facts and making up stories to smear the relationship between me and my junior. As she spoke, her gaze swept over Felix and Leo as a silent warning. Marcus was deathly pale, consumed by guilt. But suddenly, his eyes darted around. He realized that, essentially, there was no evidence of what happened that day. It all came down to whose word they believed. So, he decided to double down and continue the act. He put on an aggrieved expression, eyes brimming with tears, as he looked around at the crowd. Is there seriously another plot twist in the story? I was truly speechless at this pair. To think they actually had the nerve to turn around and bite back at me. Leo immediately stood up, shielding me as he prepared to launch a scathing retort, but Felix held him back. Felix offered a professional smile. Ms. Lily, This is all just a misunderstanding. Ethan was talking about someone else. Why are you so quick to claim the roles for yourselves? At that moment, Lily's manager arrived. It seemed they felt the movie queen status in the industry was too precious to be tarnished. If they didn't clear this up now, how could she maintain her standing? Everyone knows exactly who Mr. Ethan was talking about, the manager stated firmly. We don't go looking for trouble, but we aren't afraid of it either. We have a show to film together. It's best to clear the air now. Perhaps Ms. Lily placed her trust in the wrong person, or is being used. If Ms. Lily is willing to offer a sincere apology, we can let this go. Ha. You want us to apologize? Leo let out a cold laugh. Are you joking? The tension in the room spiked instantly. The other groups watching the drama were getting even more excited, practically on the verge of chanting. Fight! Fight! The expressions on the faces of Lily's trio shifted darkened. Are you all covering for him? Lily was now completely livid. Leo and Felix were about to speak, but I stepped forward and stopped them. I don't understand, I said calmly. Ms. Lily says I'm making things up. Are you claiming you didn't do those things? I am. Lily snapped back coldly. I put on a confused expression. So, you aren't married? Lily froze, baffled by the sudden question. I curled my lips into a smirk. Or, did you just not hear what your own husband said? Just a moment ago, you were accusing me of lying, yet now you have nothing to say. Everyone looked at her in shock, wondering why she had come back just to humiliate herself further. How can she be this confident? She's a total fool. Lily felt that because her actions were justified in her own mind, she didn't need to lie. But when the truth is repeated back to you, even if you don't feel guilty, the weight of a room full of staring eyes makes your face burn. I wasn't talking about that, Lily stammered, her confidence suddenly evaporating. She didn't know how to handle my directness. I didn't give her a chance to recover. Not about that? So you're admitting those things are true? To be honest, I wasn't entirely sure earlier if the man at the mall was your husband, or if he was really arguing with Mr. Marcus. But now. My words stripped Lily of any remaining leverage. She began to defend herself frantically. There were reasons for those things. He was the one in the wrong, which is why I confronted him. What exactly was his mistake? Marcus felt a surge of panic. He was terrified that Lily might reveal everything in her state of agitation, especially since he actually harbored a sliver of guilt. He had no choice but to step in and speak for her. Stop trying to change the subject, Marcus barked. We are talking about how you fabricated a story. This fight over clothes between me and someone else never happened. Someone clearly instructed you to do this. As soon as he said that, a few sudden, awkward coughs echoed in the room. The atmosphere became stifling. Every silent face in the crowd seemed to be screaming, "That's not true." At this point, the onlookers didn't care about the suit anymore. The real issue was whether the movie queen had truly committed such immoral acts, harassing her own husband to protect a third party, and then had the audacity to lecture Ethan without a shred of shame. Marcus suddenly felt humiliated, his entire body trembling. Lily, too, could sense the growing disdain from the room. Yet, she still couldn't understand why, in her mind, she had done nothing wrong. Before she could lose her temper, I immediately adopted a look of deep insult. Furrowing my brows, I said, "You claim this never happened and that someone instructed me? Who is this person? Did he admit to it? Did he tell you? He ordered me to frame you." Lily's manager, sensing the situation spiraling out of control, reacted instantly. "He admitted to knowing you." I looked back with genuine surprise. I only asked if he admitted to instructing me. I didn't ask if he knew me. That one sentence left Lily and her manager speechless. Who would ever dare admit to something like that? "I'm not lying," Marcus shouted desperately. I turned to Marcus with a thin smile. "Lying is as easy as opening your mouth. Ms. Lily, do you believe me, or do you believe him?" My question left everyone in the room stunned, unable to follow the logic of what was happening. Marcus was dazed for a moment before almost letting out a scornful laugh. Lily also regained her composure, looking at me with shock. Did I really expect her to believe me? We barely knew each other. As the crowd watched in bewilderment and Lily's irritation grew, I suddenly let out a sigh of regret. It was foolish of me to even ask," I said. "Ms. Lily, you don't even believe your own husband. How could you possibly believe me, a man you're meeting for the first time?" Lily froze, the words dying in her throat. "Oh, I see how it is," I continued. "Clearly, Marcus is far better at this than I am. You can trust him instantly without any proof at all. But as for me, I suppose I'd need to produce actual evidence just to be considered credible, wouldn't I? It really is enough to make a person die of frustration. Marcus tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. His face gradually turned a sickly, ashen pale. I continued. I don't actually feel that wronged. After all, Ms. Lily, your own husband was framed and condemned for bullying Mr. Marcus without ever being given a chance to prove his innocence. Compared to him, this is nothing. I paused, a cold smile playing on my lips. Seeing this play out, it truly gives me a strange sense of satisfaction. Lily's manager stood frozen. Everyone else in the room thought to themselves, holy crap, that counterattack was legendary. The temperature in the room seemed to spike, making the atmosphere stiflingly tense. However, Marcus still had one last card to play. He suddenly collapsed into a display of pitiful sobbing. I know you're all taking Drake's side, but Lily and I are truly innocent. He has framed us so many times. What do I have to do for you to believe me? Do I have to die? The room gasped. Getting a suicide threat in the middle of a gossip session was a bit much. But for Lily, it was a wake-up call. She knew Marcus had a history of self-harm and mental health struggles, or so he had led her to believe. In her eyes, if he wasn't being framed, why would he react so violently? Enough. Lily snapped, her suspicions of me vanishing in favor of her protective maternal instinct for Marcus. You claim you don't know Drake, yet you defend him at every turn. She looked at me with chilling disdain. I've already warned Drake. If he continues to make up stories to target Marcus, don't blame me for not choosing family over what is right. Right over family? I've never seen anyone flip black and white so shamelessly. Leo, who knew the absolute truth, was beyond shocked. He blurted out, Ms. Lily, don't you feel any heartache at all? His question was laced with such accidental sarcasm that the onlookers started coughing in unison to hide their reactions. Whether out of a sense of justice or pure awe at his boldness, everyone mentally gave Leo a thumbs up. Lily, unable to bear it anymore, lashed out. You don't understand anything. My husband hasn't done a single thing for Marcus. He's paranoid, he doesn't trust me, and he spends his time plotting against Marcus. Marcus has never shown him anything but respect, yet Drake won't let it go. She didn't want to air her dirty laundry in public, but to protect Marcus, she went all in. Mr. Ethan, I don't care what Drake told you. I will personally hold you accountable for these fabrications. It was unbelievable. Even at this stage, Lily offered unconditional trust to the wrong man. Marcus, meanwhile, felt a surge of nausea, not from guilt, but from the stress of his own lies. He immediately thought of calling the police. He knew elite stores usually wouldn't release CCTV to the public for privacy reasons, but if the police were involved, he might be able to manipulate the narrative. Just as Lily was doubling down on her protection of Marcus, both her phone and her manager's phone began ringing simultaneously. The manager looked at his screen, and his face went deathly pale. He looked up at Marcus with a look of pure horror. Lily was still standing there, shielding Marcus, while Marcus shot me a look, hoping I'd understand and stop helping the villain. I suddenly froze for a moment, then a strange, intrigued smile spread across my face. Ethan, what's wrong with you? Felix asked, confused by the constant vibration of phones in the room. Leo didn't look at his own phone yet, but he was tuned into my thoughts. It seemed the investigative power of netizens was truly undefeated. Because the gossip from my earlier joke had leaked out, netizens couldn't sit still. They had managed to dig up a secret recording from inside the store. Apparently, a store employee had filmed it covertly. Fearing a managerial investigation, they hadn't claimed the video as their own but had shared it anonymously online, as was their habit with strange occurrences. The video didn't show faces clearly, but every detail matched the stories circulating on marketing accounts, and it was spreading like wildfire. The vivid imagery of a homewrecker bullying the legal spouse left everyone reeling. Fans began to panic. To make matters worse, the marriage certificate of Drake and Lily was leaked, alongside digital footprints of their friendship from childhood through their professional lives, innocent memories now tainted. Simultaneously, photos surfaced of Drake's sunbathing at the hospital, looking frail. People began speculating about Drake's illness. The narrative shifted instantly. Original fans of the Lily-Marcus pairing were left dazed. The rumors of a secret marriage were confirmed, but with the added stings of infidelity and a legal husband who was gravely ill while the homewrecker bullied him. Lily's Ice Queen image shattered into pieces. Haha, this generation of netizens is truly the best I've ever taught. Wait, I need to watch Lily's reaction the moment she sees the video. Before the manager could stop her, the producer and director, unable to contain themselves any longer, rushed back into the room. This was a massive PR catastrophe. Ms. Lily, Mr. Marcus, you need to explain this to us right now, the producer shouted. Lily and Marcus stood there, stunned. They could feel the atmosphere in the room turning razor-sharp. Everyone around them was staring at their phones, then looking back at them with expressions ranging from shock to pure disgust. What on earth happened online? Lily asked, still completely in the dark. Her manager tried to show her his phone, but his hands were shaking violently. He was clearly in total shock. He never expected that the one lying from the very beginning was actually Marcus. At that exact moment, a projector in the room, one that was usually turned off, suddenly flickered to life. Lily and Marcus stared at the screen, utterly clueless about the nightmare that was about to play out in front of everyone. Immediately, a familiar voice and image filled the screen. Does Drake even have enough money to buy this? The familiar voice and the mention of the name caused Lily to whip her head toward the large screen. On the monitor, the footage showed two men from the neck down. One was wearing a flamboyant outfit that matched Marcus's exact style from the day he took photos of the clothes. The other man was so thin that his clothes hung loosely on his frame. He was unrecognizable by face, but the black card in his hand and the voice confirmed it was Drake. The video showed Drake frantically trying to make a call that wouldn't go through. Finally, Marcus pulled out his supplementary card with a smirk. Then smack. The sound of a slap echoed through the room. No. Turn it off. Turn it off right now. Who did this? Marcus suddenly screamed, frantically howling like a madman. Leo watched Marcus's breakdown in silence before tucking his phone away. He had only muttered a complaint earlier about how great it would be to handle this publicly. He hadn't expected someone to actually pull it off. But the Lunas family was notoriously protective of their own. Someone in the room, unable to stand Marcus's screeching, spoke up with disdain. Mr. Marcus, there's no point in screaming. This video is already all over the internet. Everyone has seen it. Those words caused Marcus to collapse onto the floor, his legs giving way. Meanwhile, Lily stood there like a statue, her soul seemingly departed, staring blankly as the video continued to play. I could barely suppress my laughter. This was the perfect moment to kick them while they were down. I walked over to Marcus and leaned in. Mr. Marcus, do you still need to die to prove your innocence? Marcus's face was a mess of confusion and suppressed rage. I gave him a quick wink and sighed. I have to say, being classically trained really shows. Your acting is truly top tier. Marcus's expression contorted instantly. The onlookers, remembering his earlier melodramatic performance, couldn't help but scoff, though they internally marveled at his sheer audacity. I turned to look at Lily and continued, "You won't get away from this." Then, mimicking Lily's earlier tone perfectly, I said, "This is what you called Marcus never showing a lack of respect." Direct and blunt. Lily's face grew paler by the second as the video reached the part where I appeared. I pointed to my image on the screen. That's me. See? Your husband didn't say a single word to me. Lily swayed on her feet, looking utterly lost. It turned out they had indeed known each other for less than a week. There was no mastermind, no instruction. It was all a massive, karmic coincidence. I let out a soft laugh. As for the accusation of me fabricating stories, I will be pursuing that to the fullest extent of the law unless you offer a sincere apology. I threw every word Lily and Marcus had used against me right back in their faces. Finally, I added, I trust that after seeing the truth so clearly, Teacher Lily will certainly stand on the side of justice, rather than showing favoritism to those close to her. As soon as those words left my mouth, the room finally erupted in laughter. The manager's face turned paper white. All the arrogance they had arrived with vanishing instantly. They scrambled forward to mediate. Mr. Ethan, this is all just a misunderstanding. We can settle this amicably. Felix lifted his chin and shot back. Absolutely not. We demand a formal apology. If this hadn't exploded online, our Mr. Ethan would have been slandered to death. The manager frantically nudged Lily, but she was completely broken, oblivious to the stinging mockery around her. She looked down at Marcus, her voice trembling as she asked, "What is this? You lied to me." Marcus just shook and sobbed, not daring to lift his head. "Lily, why did he lie?" Marcus finally snapped, wailing as he sprinted out of the room. His assistants and staff looked on awkwardly before scrambling to chase after him. Lily remained frozen in place, her face a mask of bewilderment, her entire body shaking. The manager was like an ant on a hot pan, but the situation was beyond saving. Weibo had crashed under the weight of the news, and netizens were flooding short video platforms. Within 30 minutes, the scandal had saturated the entire internet. A career-ending nightmare had descended upon Lily. This wasn't just about a suit anymore, it was a fundamental question of character and morality. The director and producer were still waiting for a solution. Lily was supposed to be the ace of the program, the top draw. While a scandal brings short-term traffic, this specific brand of infamy could drag the entire show into a whirlpool of disgrace. Online, the backlash grew by the second, with people slamming the production for enabling a homewrecker. The producers were desperate. They needed to act fast. The manager knew that if this wasn't handled perfectly, the consequences would be unimaginable. He tried to pull Lily away to deal with the fallout, but before they could reach the door, a soft cough from Felix acted as a sharp reminder. The manager was so livid he could have spat blood, but he didn't dare cause more trouble. "We apologize for not investigating thoroughly," the manager said, forcing a professional tone. "We offer our sincere apologies to Mr. Ethan. He showed the calculated humility of a veteran, but I didn't give him any reaction." He had no choice but to pull on Lily again. Lily finally snapped back to reality, consumed by a mixture of shame and fury. She was a movie queen. Her status was leagues above mine. How could she accept being forced to apologize to a newcomer like me? She tried to cling to her dignity, but in this room, her reputation had been trampled so many times that no matter how dark her expression was, she no longer carried an ounce of authority. Under pressure from her manager, Lily finally forced the words out. "I'm sorry. It was my misunderstanding." A movie queen bowing her head to a rookie, this was a rare spectacle in the entertainment industry. The other cast members looked at me with entirely new eyes, finding me both miraculous and captivating. However, a few people thought I was being too blunt and lacked restraint. They believed I should have prioritized harmony and given her a graceful way out. But in the next second, their assumptions collapsed. I let out a sigh. I'm a generous person. Even though I was dragged into this for no reason, I don't hold petty grudges. However, there is still one person who hasn't apologized. Therefore, I cannot grant my forgiveness just yet. Everyone expected me to let it slide, and Lily certainly didn't expect me to actually utter the words "cannot forgive." She stood there dazed until her manager finally dragged her away. The movie queen's team was in no condition to film the promotional video, so the other groups started their sessions first. But no one's heart was in it. Everyone was distracted, constantly checking their phones for the latest drama. They were dying to see how the movie queen would handle this crisis. Yet, by evening, when the other groups had finished and headed home, there was still no official response from her camp. The production team quickly washed their hands of the matter, claiming they were unaware of the situation and that everything was pending a statement from the actress herself. Online, diehard fans and shippers were still praying for a twist, refusing to face reality. Meanwhile, casual netizens turned the exposure of the cheating queen and her homewrecker into a full-blown celebratory feast. Back at the Lunas residence, the family chatted about the entertainment news over dinner, discussing the showbiz earthquake my first day of work had triggered. While I chatted and scrolled through the drama online, everyone else pretended to browse the web while actually tuning into my inner thoughts. After all, internet rumors might be fake, but my version was definitely the truth, and much more entertaining to hear. As I prepared to check in on Marcus's situation, everyone's ears practically pricked up. Ugh, he attempted suicide. The family jumped in surprise. Oh, wait, it's a fake. Just for show. This Marcus guy is truly relentless. He's claiming he's emotionally unstable because of that trauma from being tricked into a casting couch party years ago, and that's why he acted out. He says he was so overwhelmed and terrified of Lily hating him that he lied, throwing the blame on mental health. Did he even ask the doctors if they'd agree to that? If Lily believes this, she's no better than a pig. The family members nodded to themselves, agreeing that the excuse was incredibly forced. Moreover, they had heard that the casting couch party back then was actually a play directed and performed by Marcus himself. Another lie, and yet Lily still refused to re-examine the facts of that night. Wait, I can't believe it. She actually doesn't believe Marcus's words this time. The family felt a wave of relief, thinking she might still be salvageable. Suddenly, I cursed in my mind. I take it back. She really is a pig. Marcus has nothing left to lose. He went for a Hail Mary confession, claiming that everything he did was out of a desperate love for her, that he's been haunted by their forced separation years ago and couldn't control his emotions. Oh my God. My family was listening to the play-by-play, dying to grab me and demand more details, when I suddenly blurted out. He just lunged at her and kissed her. Lily didn't pull away. She let him kiss her for a long time before finally snapping to her senses and pushing him back. She told him she couldn't return his feelings because she loves Drake. Good grief. Give me a break. With just one confession and a kiss, Lily completely stopped caring about the fact that Marcus framed Drake. She actually felt sympathetic. She even comforted Marcus, telling him not to feel wronged and that she would find a way to fix the current mess. Damn it. She actually stayed in Marcus's room to call Drake. Luckily, Drake didn't pick up, not because he's ignoring her, but because the medication has him unconscious. Yet, she actually thinks he's being petty and avoiding her on purpose. In an instant, her guilt transformed into rage. She felt like he was the one being difficult. Sister, you know you're in the wrong, don't you? Have you already forgotten how many times you used the silent treatment to ignore him? My family members were so furious they could barely eat. No wonder the netizens were exploding in a crusade for justice. They all wanted to scream at her. Suddenly, my face contorted with even more rage. Everyone held their breath. Could it get any worse? The manager actually had the audacity to suggest that Lily pin everything on Drake. He told her to force Drake to release a statement, admitting his mistakes so that she could officially be with Marcus to save her reputation. Does the word shameless not fit on that man's forehead? Everyone was beyond shocked. Even if we didn't know how he planned to manipulate the situation, it was the peak of immorality. Back at the apartment, the manager pressed her. You need to make a decision. Get a divorce. Have Drake issue a statement taking the blame, then go public with Marcus. That's the only way to get through this. No. Lily snapped. Are you insane? He's my husband. I only mentioned divorce to scare him, to keep him from making a scene. I never actually intended to go through with it. The manager lowered his voice. If you hadn't been stopped 4 years ago, the two of you would have been together long ago. Why keep lying to yourself? Panic flickered in Lily's eyes. I've never thought about cheating. I haven't done anything to wrong Drake. Netizens don't see it that way. If this gets labeled as infidelity within a marriage, both you and Marcus are finished. Lily erupted in anger. Shut up. My conscience is clear. I am innocent. But the stock price of your agency has already taken a massive hit, the manager reminded her sharply. A simple I'm innocent isn't going to change a thing. You cannot be the one in the wrong here. You must be the victim. That is the only way to save everything you've built. Just listen to me. Get the divorce and it's over. Stop it. Lily replied firmly. I will not divorce him. Then you tell me, how do we fix this? With that video out there, there's no way to whitewash Marcus. If we do nothing, we're basically leaving him to take the fall. Can you really bear that? Marcus has talent. If we take this route, he'll be utterly destroyed. He's already been broken once. Are you not afraid he'll actually commit suicide this time? The manager continued to twist the knife. Haven't you always said that you and Drake owe him? That you're both indebted to him for what happened? Lily went stiff, her eyes turning hollow and her lips trembling uncontrollably. I can't do that to Drake, she whispered. He hasn't done anything wrong. The manager replied, his voice cold and devoid of emotion. That's not necessarily true. Lily looked at her manager, startled. What do you mean? The manager analyzed the situation with chilling calmness. What about those photos of him being ill? Does he really look sick to you? Lily seemed to suddenly remember that detail, a flicker of anxiety sparking in her mind. Could he actually be sick? Didn't you tell me yourself that Drake used to fake illnesses just to stop you from helping Marcus? The manager countered. There's no such thing as a coincidence like this in the real world. Besides, why hasn't he answered your calls since this broke? Isn't it because he has a guilty conscience? Lily's brow furrowed. You mean he intentionally took those photos to stir up trouble? Isn't it obvious? He wants to retaliate against you, the manager said with disdain. He wants to play the victim, stand on the moral high ground, and force you to abandon Marcus, so you'll crawl back to him. Lily's gaze shifted, turning cold and suspicious. You're right. People don't just suddenly get sick like that. Those photos were clearly staged. He doesn't care about the big picture at all. He's caused a massive disaster for us. Lily, you really need to teach him a lesson. It's bad enough that he does nothing for your career, but now he's actively sabotaging it. The manager knew Lily had reached the peak of her acting career. At her age, she needed to pivot toward even greater heights. His plan was for the movie queen and the movie king, Marcus, to rise together as a power couple, not for her to be dragged down by an anonymous husband who lived in the shadows. He believed that, ultimately, Lily would follow her heart and choose her true love. Maybe this is actually an opportunity, the manager noted, seeing Lily's wavering expression. He tried calling Drake again, but there was still no answer. You can settle things with Drake first by doing a fake divorce. Once the storm blows over, we can reassess, the manager suggested. Lily hesitated. A fake divorce and a real divorce were two very different things. Make it clear to Drake that we aren't targeting him personally, the manager continued. We just need him to play the villain. It results in the least amount of total damage. He's just an ordinary person. Even if the entire internet attacks him, he can just go abroad for a while. Once the public heat dies down, he can come back. He loses nothing. That's better than letting you, Marcus, and the whole company be destroyed. We can just compensate him handsomely later. If he truly loves you, he will cooperate, the manager continued to persuade her. Lily's eyes flickered with a cold resolve. At that moment, the call finally connected. Where are you? Why did it take you so long to pick up? Lily demanded in an icy tone. I'm at the hospital. If you have something to say, say it. Drake replied weakly. Lily let out a sharp, bitter laugh, feeling a surge of rage. She was already stressed, and hearing Drake continue to lie was the breaking point. Enough. Are you still not done with this act? Drake, the video showed you were wronged, and I admit I was wrong for that. But do you really need to add fuel to the fire? Lily barked into the phone. I told you there's nothing between Marcus and me. I would never betray this marriage. So, why do you have to fake being sick? Silence followed from Drake's end. Lily felt a brief moment of suffocation, but she stubbornly ignored the anomaly. Fine, I'm not going to argue with you anymore. The situation online is critical. Marcus almost died just now. My team has come up with a solution. She quickly laid out the benefits of the plan, but when she got to the part about the fake divorce, she felt a sudden pang of panic and couldn't force the words out. However, Drake suddenly exploded. Lily, did I hear that right? You want me to admit the video was a lie? You want me to say I'm faking my illness and apologize to the entire internet? Are you insane? You know perfectly well that I was the one bullied and wronged. And yet, you protect Marcus and demand I confess to things that never happened? You call this not betraying the marriage? Does betrayal only count if I catch you in bed with him? Drake was lying flat on his hospital bed, drenched in sweat, his body trembling from both physical pain and sheer fury. He was practically screaming. Hearing the words "in bed with him" felt like a knife twist to Lily. She shrieked back, "What nonsense are you talking about? Drake, you are wrong this time, and I will make it up to you. Just listen to me. Dream on. I will not clear your names, and I won't pave the way for you too. If he loves attempted suicide so much, why isn't he dead yet?" Lily couldn't believe Drake could be so venomous. She was so blinded by anger that she didn't hear the choked sobs in his voice. She issued her ultimatum. If you won't cooperate, then we're getting a divorce. She thought using this to threaten the man who loved her so deeply would be enough to break him. But Drake only responded with a chilling coldness. I'd rather die than cooperate with you. Don't even dream of it. If you want a divorce, then let's divorce. He hung up immediately. Lily stared at her phone, her face contorted and deathly pale. The agency issued its final deadline. They could not stall any longer. Over at the Lunas residence, everyone was on edge as they listened to my thoughts. At that exact moment, the first shocking piece of news hit the hot search. A health report for Drake appeared on the movie Queen's official studio page. It clearly stated two words: good health. The internet erupted instantly. Where did this report come from? Is it a forgery? Claire asked suspiciously. He's clearly in the hospital right now. This is beyond despicable. Luna leaned over to look at my phone and immediately spotted the flaw. I'll check it. Just as I thought, this is Drake's health report from a year ago, but the date has been cropped out. This is how they're manipulating public opinion, by making people think those hospital photos were staged by Drake himself. The tactic was vile. One had to admit, the movie Queen's PR team were masters of twisting the truth. They shook the netizens' trust and then released a statement, admitting the mistake of hiding the marriage while promising to reveal the full truth during a live broadcast. They hinted that both the movie queen and Marcus were innocent victims. Damn it, they're planning to use the show to whitewash themselves. If Drake cooperates, they succeed. If he doesn't, they'll just use this smear campaign to bury him. It's incredibly devious. The Lunas family was stunned. They hadn't realized public perception could be manipulated so surgically. Will Drake come forward to prove his innocence? Mother Lou asked, bewildered. Claire frowned. Drake never wanted anyone to know he was sick in the first place. Leo grew anxious. Big sister, maybe you should go and talk to him? As a hospital director, Claire felt it was only natural to check on a patient. However, when she made inquiries, the hospital reported that Drake had seen the news online and was severely traumatized. He had locked himself in his room, refusing to communicate with even the doctors or nurses. If Drake didn't speak up, no one could turn the tide. By the next day, Lily and Marcus had finished filming their promotional video. The shippers were once again filled with hope. In the court of public opinion, they had been reframed as a tragic couple, while Drake was being painted as the toxic spouse who refused to let go and delighted in tormenting others. Though these stories weren't released through official channels, it was obviously a calculated media campaign. The Lunas family watched the screen, mouths agape at the sheer audacity. Leo couldn't help but turn to me and ask, why do the heartless always seem to live better than the devoted? Leo asked, unable to contain his frustration. I smiled. Because the devoted are bound by a higher sense of morality. They overthink, and overthinking breeds illness. Let this be a lesson. Release your madness outward. Never turn it against yourself. That's the secret to longevity. While we were commenting, I received a call from Felix. The schedule for the first day of filming is out, he said. Whether it's a coincidence or a deliberate setup by the producers, we're going head-to-head against the movie queen's team in the performance segment. The theme is true love. They perform first, we follow. The rules of the competition technically favored us, but it was clear no one cared about our performance. This was a transparent attempt by the show to give Lily a platform to clear her name. Anyone performing alongside them was just meant to be cannon fodder, background noise to their main event. We were expected to just keep our heads down and wait for the storm to pass. Why us? I asked, curious. Felix let out a cold laugh. It's definitely a targeted retaliation. I mused for a moment. True love, huh? I have a few ideas for the script. On the day of filming, Lily sat in the waiting area, staring blankly at her phone. She was still waiting for Drake to contact her. She assumed that after seeing the fake health report, he would surely call her in a fit of rage. But Drake had done absolutely nothing, and his silence was starting to make her feel uneasy. Sister, maybe we should stop. It's all my fault, Marcus said, putting on his usual pathetic front. Lily closed her eyes, exhausted. Her manager leaned in to whisper, it's too late to turn back now. When the show goes live, you must announce the divorce. A glint of something dark flashed in Marcus's eyes. What if Drake refuses to sign? Lily avoided his gaze. I'll promise him it's just a fake divorce. Once I've stabilized your situation, I won't interfere in your business anymore. I'll stay with him forever. He won't make a scene. Marcus's eyes flickered with hidden resentment. But I'm afraid he'll be so angry, he won't forgive you. Lily actually smiled. He won't. We grew up together. He loves me deeply. Even if he's angry for a while, he'll forgive me in the end. What kind of logic is this? I thought while eavesdropping from the waiting area. I couldn't help but scoff internally. She actually thinks she can trample on his dignity, and he'll just wait around like a loyal dog? Leo and Luna sat nearby, silently listening to my inner monologue. Father and Mother Lou were seated in the audience. They couldn't hear my thoughts and were visibly restless and irritated. The lights dimmed. The cameras rolled. The live broadcast was officially underway. Lily is about to perform a true love play with her lover while planning to use her devoted husband as a shield. She is convinced she has a future of bright lights ahead. After the MC announced the competition format, the movie queen's team took the stage first. At that exact moment, Drake received a call from an unknown number. Hello. We are the legal representatives for Ms. Lily. May we ask where you are currently located, Mr. Drake? Drake already guessed her intentions. He knew that every time Lily mentioned divorce, it was usually just a threat. But what if it was real this time? To him, Lily was like a brain tumor. He couldn't live if she stayed, but removing her was fatal. Having lost his parents and long ago abandoned the dreams that once drove him, he had spent the last few years living only for her. If he had to cut her out of his life, he didn't think he could survive the pain. In his hospital room, the TV was on. Drake's eyes were glued to the screen as he watched Lily and Marcus walk onto the stage hand in hand. A beautiful love story began to unfold. As it did, the light in his eyes slowly faded. Millions of netizens were being led by the nose. It was a short play depicting a regretful love story. Childhood sweethearts forced into marriage by their families. The female lead, focused only on her career, followed the crowd and got married. Later, she realized her mistake and wanted out. The ex-husband, however, clung to her relentlessly, making it impossible to leave. She buried herself in work to forget her misery. She hid the marriage for years. The company grew wealthy on her commercial value while the ex-husband lived a life of leisure off her hard work. She owed him nothing. For years ago, she met her true love and wanted to start a new life. But the ex-husband used his power to force her true love abroad, ruining his career. Now that he has finally returned, she only wants to compensate him and care for him. She never intended to cheat. Yet, the ex-husband remained irrationally suspicious, not only framing her at a dinner party, but also faking an illness to deceive her. Finally, the heroine decides she will endure no more and officially announces the divorce. The fans immediately caught the subtext. This was the truth they had been waiting for. Comments flooded the screen. Is divorce a capital crime in this day and age? At least the movie queen hasn't actually cheated yet. Can't my queen just be free? She has the right to pursue her own happiness. Since they first worked together 4 years ago, she's kept herself clean despite the scandals. That's clearly true love. Broken by a stubborn, obsessed man. How tragic. The most pitiful one is Marcus. He was exiled, targeted, and framed just because he loved another lonely soul. It's Drake who is the obsessed one, refusing to let go just to torment her. Some onlookers held a different view. Is changing your mind suddenly right now? Am I the only one who feels for the spouse? Is this the era of mistress logic? However, these dissenting voices were quickly drowned out by a tidal wave of comments. The narrative was almost entirely one-sided. As the play concluded, the two lovers ended up together while the evil spouse was purged from their world. Even as the curtains closed, the comment section remained frantic. No one seemed to care about the next performance. Claire, watching the live stream in shock and fearing for Drake's condition, rushed to his hospital room. But as she reached the door, she saw a lawyer entering. Mr. Drake, we have been commissioned by Ms. Lily to bring you this divorce agreement. We hope you can sign it. The lawyer looked up at the man on the bed and froze. This is just a formality. You don't need to take it to heart. Claire looked at Drake's face and gasped. He looked as if his soul had been sucked dry. At that moment, the live stream screen flickered as the next group of guests took the stage. The image suddenly plunged into total darkness, as if someone had fallen into an abyss. Suddenly, a clear yet frail voice echoed. Why won't you seek treatment? Do you want to use your death to punish those who hurt you? If you aren't afraid of dying, why are you afraid of living in the dark? A single spotlight shone directly on me. I was lying on a hospital bed, alone, looking as if I were on the brink of death. If you were given a chance to start over, what would you choose? The ethereal voice continued. Choose what? I replied, dazed. Your health or her? Your parents still being alive, or her? A world-renowned reputation as a photographer, or her? In truth, you always had so many choices, didn't you? The light gradually expanded. I sat up slowly, a spark of realization lighting up my eyes. The answer was clear. Meanwhile, back in the hospital room, Drake stared blankly at Lily on the screen, his expression beginning to shift. Perhaps because the opening was so unconventional, the live comment stream paused for a heartbeat before turning indifferent. But in the very next instant, the stage lights blacked out and then snapped back on with a blinding flash. Smack! A resounding slap echoed through the hall, freezing the live comments instantly. Drake snapped wide awake. You bitch! If you're going to cheat, just admit it. Do you really think you can use lies to whitewash yourself? Do you really think someone like you is worth ruining my life over? The lines were like sharpened blades, aggressively pointed at someone specific. The comment section exploded into a frenzy. The camera immediately panned to the waiting area, capturing the faces of Lily and Marcus. Their faces were ghostly pale, looking utterly humiliated. It was too clear. This was a deliberate, pointed attack. They looked as if they wanted to scream. Damn it, are they crazy? What does this have to do with us? Why do they keep targeting them? Aren't they afraid of a total fallout? The expressions of the other teams were a kaleidoscope of shock and intrigue. Everyone settled into a posture ready to watch the drama unfold. After all, the movie Queen's team had specifically chosen to compete against the rookies just to teach them a lesson for their earlier, thoughtless comments. But now, the eyes of the entire internet were glued to Lily and Marcus. The so-called truth they had just performed became an instant joke. Anyone sharing the stage with a movie queen right now was effectively cannon fodder. This show was meant to boost popularity. Who would want to waste effort just to be a stepping stone? Everyone thought I was being unwise, that if someone gives you an inch, you should give them a yard. They thought if I couldn't grab the spotlight, I should at least stay out of trouble and accept my bad luck. Instead, I opened with a massive, stinging jab. Even if it was just a script, it was a guarantee that netizens and fans would attack me. Not only would I fail to win the spotlight, but I could be vilified long after the show ended. It seemed like self-destruction. Both the guests and the audience felt secondhand embarrassment for me. They lost interest in the rest of the performance, assuming I was just pulling a stunt at the start before returning to a serious act. Only Mother and Father Lou, along with Leo, stared at the stage with twitching lips, looking like they were desperately trying to stifle a laugh. Suddenly, the stage style shifted. It transformed into a short school-themed play. An actress and I took the roles of the leads. Our families were neighbors, and we grew up together. In elementary school, the boy brought the girl breakfast every day. In middle school, he picked her up and dropped her off. In high school, they studied together, laughing and joking. From carefree days to the blossoming of young love, they were the most important people in each other's lives. Later, she entered the entertainment industry while I picked up a camera to travel the world, sending photos to magazines. The background screen split into two halves. On the left were clips of her acting, eventually walking onto a stage to accept an award. On the right were photography awards and invitations from prestigious magazines. My acting was deliberately raw, but the story was captivating. It was another childhood sweetheart story. But unlike the previous obsessive ex-spouse narrative, this showed two people growing up together, developing independently while maintaining a pure bond. The entire hall practically smelled the drama. Everyone leaned in, watching seriously, unable to believe their eyes. They all realized, this is a direct duel. The live gossip session was electrifying. Online, the comments exploded. No one expected that the performance they had written off would be the real main event. This isn't just a slap in the face, it's pouring sulfuric acid on them, one commenter wrote. Even the production crew was stunned. This script was nothing like the one that had been submitted. The rehearsals were nothing like this. The production team was about to scramble to intervene when they checked the backstage data. The live stream numbers weren't just high, they had surpassed the movie Queen segment and were climbing at a vertical rate. The crew froze. How many people are actually watching this? Apparently, the world's appetite for drama was bottomless. Sharp-eyed netizens immediately began their digital investigation. There was no way a photographer persona was chosen by accident. Within minutes, they unearthed undeniable evidence that turned this battle of the top stars into a battlefield. It turned out that Drake was once a legitimate, rising star in the photography world. The photos displayed on the large stage screen were his actual works. Although they were labeled as fictional props for the play, no one expected the rookie team to be so bold as to use Drake's real portfolio. Even the awards mentioned in the script were authentic. Those photos had been uploaded 7 years ago. After marrying Lily, Drake hadn't produced a single piece of work. Yet, in Lily's earlier performance, she hadn't mentioned a word about her ex-husband being a brilliant artist. She had portrayed him as nothing more than a delusional parasite, a man obsessed with his wife to the point of insanity. Back in the hospital room, Drake's eyes weren't even on the actors anymore. They were locked onto the massive screen showcasing his past. Tears began to blur his vision. Beside him, his phone lit up. Someone watching the live stream had sent him a message. He glanced at his lock screen. It was a photo of Lily. Years ago, his wallpaper had been the very first photo of the aurora borealis he had ever captured. To get that shot, he had camped out in the Arctic for an entire month, fueled by raw passion. How did it come to this? Drake's body suddenly went rigid. A sharp, tearing pain flared in his chest. In his mind, the line from the play echoed, A world-renowned reputation as a photographer suits you better? What do you choose? On stage, both Lily and Marcus were trembling. Marcus was shaking with pure, unadulterated rage, while Lily felt as if a sledgehammer had struck her chest. Though the play was slightly dramatized, the core content was the undeniable truth of her life with Drake. She recognized those photos. They were his. After the initial shock, a wave of dizziness washed over her. She began to doubt everything. Is Drake behind this? Has he been waiting for this exact moment to strike back? Is his refusal to bow down actually a calculated move for revenge? He must still be in contact with someone. Otherwise, how could a play like this even exist? He wants to destroy me and Marcus. For the first time, Lily felt the cold, direct sting of Drake's retaliation. The man who once loved her more than life itself was now treating her like this. She began to doubt everything. On stage, the play moved forward. Supporting actors appeared, playing the joyful parents, clapping and offering blessings. The female lead embraced the male lead. "Let's get married. Be my husband." The male lead was startled. But for an artist, marrying a bit later is better for the career. "Sooner or later, you're the only one for me in this life," she insisted. "There's no difference. Besides, we can marry in secret. It'll just be a little bit of a sacrifice for you." The male lead hesitated for a moment. But seeing the happiness of both families and the apparent sincerity in her eyes, he finally nodded in agreement. Suddenly, the background screen, which had been displaying the male lead's life achievements, shattered into black and white fragments that shrank smaller and smaller. Immediately, a series of data charts, like a company's stock prices, appeared. On stage, the female lead and a crew mimed filming a movie. Meanwhile, the male lead was busy in an office, making calls and handling documents. It looked like a couple building an empire together. Then, without warning, the lights cut out. Only a single beam of light remained, focused on me. I stepped out of character, facing the darkness where the female lead stood. I raised my hand and delivered a resounding slap that echoed through the hall. Smack! The audience froze. It was as if I were a version of him from the future, returning to slap the face of a scumbag. "You married me just because you were afraid I'd follow my dreams of photography, travel the world, and never come back. You were afraid you couldn't keep me. You broke my wings just so I would have to depend on you to survive, so I would remain the person standing in your shadow. I was a fool. I thought love meant sacrifice, compromise, and endurance. But why did I have to sacrifice my dreams for your career, only for you to throw me away? Has your conscience been eaten by dogs?" I screamed, questioning and cursing her. Though my acting was a bit raw, the entire audience was captivated. No one could tell where the fiction ended and the reality began, but everyone wanted to believe in the conspiracy. Perhaps it wasn't the parents who pushed for the marriage. Perhaps the movie queen didn't casually marry. She was the one who proposed. She wanted him to sacrifice everything for her. And after trapping him, she never had any intention of letting him go until he was no longer useful. The audience watched in total disbelief. If the rookie group was actually portraying the truth, then the movie queen's earlier public clarification was nothing short of stomach-turning. It wasn't just a distortion of facts, it was character assassination. Clearly, the depths of a woman's cold calculation were the most terrifying thing of all. The atmosphere in the studio reached a fever pitch. Online, the comment section split down the middle. One half was hurling vitriol, while the other began frantically digging for evidence to settle the debate. The entire internet was on a hunt for the truth. In the waiting area, Lily looked as if she had been slapped 1,000 times. Every scene on stage felt like a direct strike. Marcus, seeing his narrative crumble, was so enraged he almost stood up. He didn't even care about the truth being exposed. He just wanted to scream that it wasn't how it seemed. In love, someone has to compromise, otherwise, how can a marriage last? She loves acting. She only wanted to act. She couldn't do anything else. Father and Mother Lou watched as the audience began to whisper and point. Some people were watching the backstage live stream feed, where cameras, sensing a riot, turned their lenses directly toward Lily and Marcus. Netizens began analyzing their expressions frame by frame. Is that the look of shame, or the anger of the wrongly accused? On stage, Leo stepped out to join the performance, causing the audience to gasp collectively. For a moment, the live stream numbers seemed to freeze as everyone realized who Leo was about to play. They looked toward the backstage area with bated breath. Staff members from other teams huddled together, eating melons. Leo was flushed with excitement. Beside him, Felix looked completely shell-shocked. Peach asked him nervously, "Brother Felix, are you okay?" She knew the script for today had kept certain details hidden even from him. She could only marvel at the fact that while Ethan looked calm, he had already gone nuclear. Nearby, the manager of another idol looked at Felix and critiqued, "Is your artist trying to end his career by being this good at acting?" Suddenly, Lily's manager stormed over to Felix, screaming in a rage, "What on earth are you people doing? Stop this. Look, the third-party character is about to appear. Are you really going to play out the whole damn story?" Felix gave a light cough. Although he secretly wanted to tear his hair out, he wasn't about to let the family lose face. "Oh, it's just acting," he replied smoothly. "You are the ones who called us cruel and lawless, and labeled yourselves as shameless and undignified. I'm just following your lead." With one sentence, he had used their own words to muzzle them. The surrounding people gave him a secret thumbs up. This level of sharp wit was rare in the industry. Meanwhile, the director and producer looked like they were suffering a nervous breakdown as the live stream comments shook with the force of a digital earthquake. Felix continued to be infuriatingly unrepentant. "We're just lucky we were chosen and given such a fantastic script. We really have to thank Ms. Lily and Mr. Marcus for providing us with this shattered talent. Especially the seniors. Their inspiration is truly beyond words." If she hadn't been propped up by her assistants, the manager would have fainted right there. But he didn't even have the luxury of losing consciousness. On stage, the performance was becoming even more intense. A second male lead appeared beside the female lead, and the two began performing scenes of heavy romantic ambiguity. Meanwhile, the male lead, the husband, remained buried in work, seemingly oblivious to the betrayal unfolding behind his back. Suddenly, four parental figures appeared before the second male lead, confronting him. The female lead continued her act, while the second male lead left the stage looking like a hollow shell, soulless and unresponsive. The husband continued to work, but he was visibly losing strength as the mountain of paperwork on his desk grew higher. Finally, he too exited the stage. On the massive background screen, the corporate imagery dissolved into scenes of a hospital where his parents lay. The husband reappeared, devotedly caring for them. Once the parents passed away, the second male lead suddenly rushed back and pulled the female lead into a tight, weeping embrace. The two of them then turned their gaze toward the husband, their eyes filled with inexplicable rage and accusation. At that moment, the lighting shifted again. I leaped out from my position and delivered another thunderous slap. "You cruel, heartless monster," I screamed. "You say we have nothing in common? That's because you chose not to have anything in common with me. I could have been an artist, a dreamer, but you are the one who turned me into a man who smells only of money and documents. How do you have the nerve to despise me? Why is it that when you lose your heart and commit adultery, you still act as if you're the one in the right? If you don't have the resolve to protect a family, then don't enter a marriage just to destroy someone else." I roared, my voice thick with condemnation. Even if my acting was slightly unpolished, the entire audience was now completely submerged in the narrative. The line between fiction and reality had blurred into non-existence. Everyone was primed to believe in the conspiracy. If this story was the truth, it meant the marriage wasn't just a mistake, it was a betrayal of the highest order. It meant that Drake was never a useless parasite or just some wealthy socialite. He was the man who had suffered through the early, grueling days of her startup, staying in the shadows to shield the movie queen so she never had a single worry. Once her career peaked, he didn't crave power. He stepped back to care for his aging parents, slowly fading from the public eye. It was this very selflessness that allowed Lily's team to smear him so easily because he had left no trail, making it nearly impossible to find evidence to the contrary. In the crowd, a former fan of Marcus spoke up, their voice trembling. "I used to follow Marcus. Now that I think about it, when he went abroad, everyone sent him off with blessings. For the first 2 years after Lily got married, there was no news of him. He actually started with plenty of good resources back then. How can he blame others for his own failure? If this is true, if Lily fabricated all of this, does she even have a conscience? I actually liked her. Their PR team is too powerful. Who gave them the courage to lie like this?" another added. Father and Mother Lou, sitting among the spectators, noticed the tide of public opinion shifting toward me and Leo. They looked on with satisfied expressions, their heads held high. Meanwhile, in the backstage area, The burning stares from the staff made the two people standing in the center feel as though they were sitting on a bed of hot coals. Luna had already heard my inner thoughts before, but seeing Leo and me perform this live made her feel even more vindicated. Beside her, the lawyers were staring at the stage, completely forgetting their tasks. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Drake remained glued to the screen, his eyes hollow. That's right, he thought. I did nothing wrong. The fault was always theirs. So, why am I the one being punished? The final act on stage began. The third-party character was seen making a furtive phone call, pretending to be the husband to manipulate the wife. On the other side of the split stage, the husband was holding medical records, his face pale with shock as he questioned a doctor. The third party then staged a crisis to beg the wife for help. The husband, sensing something was wrong, tried to call the wife repeatedly, but she was too busy saving the third party to answer her phone. Finally, the wife arrived to protect the third party. The third party pointed an accusing finger at the husband. How can you be so cruel? You even set him up. The husband tried to defend himself. You don't believe me? You've already frozen my black card. The husband mentioned his illness, but the wife barked back. Stop faking it. Driven to despair, the husband sought treatment alone, only to be secretly photographed and exposed online. The wife then brought the third party to threaten the husband. You are just an ordinary person, she said on stage. We are artists. Sacrifices must be made. You love me so much. Surely you'll agree to take the blame. If you don't cooperate, I will divorce you. At that moment, the lighting remained static, but the energy shifted. I, playing the broken husband, suddenly leaped from the wheelchair. I delivered a violent slap to the actress playing the wife and kicked Leo, the third party, right into her arms. Then I began to stomping toward them both. You spiteful pair, slandering me without a shred of proof. I roared. Even the police require evidence. Why did you convict me based on a single word? Does the law even exist to you? Should I hand you over to the state? Since when can you ruin a life without a single receipt? Below the stage, the audience began to murmur loudly. Good God, that dinner party incident the movie Queen's team acted out earlier was so murky. Is it possible there was zero evidence? Did Lily really just take Marcus's word and blame her own husband? Let's see if they actually dare to produce any proof. Backstage, Lily and Marcus were paralyzed as they overheard the whispers. Lily went rigid, her face a mask of dazed despair. The truth was, she didn't have any evidence. On stage, the actress playing the wife yelled back. You don't have evidence to prove your innocence either. I slapped her again, a move so realistic the audience wondered if I had actually hit her. Listen to yourself, I shouted. You demand evidence from your husband, but you ask for none from an outsider. He protects you because you act weak. That's why he cherishes you. If an outsider said, without proof, that I committed murder, would you send me to prison too? Because I'm not weak, because I don't know how to flatter people, I'm automatically the villain. Lily felt her entire body go numb. She could barely remain standing. She turned to look at Marcus, only to find his face deathly pale. Meanwhile, the crowd of staff and onlookers backstage continued their heated debate. I remember this timeline. It definitely matches one of those rumors the paparazzi caught. Quickly, check where the wife was at that time. Maybe we can find proof. But even if we do, the movie queen will probably just do what she did with those hospital photos and claim it's fake. They even provided a health report. Tell me, do you think she actually knows? Is her husband really sick? Lily stumbled, her body swaying so violently that she would have collapsed if her manager hadn't caught her. Sick? No, it's impossible. He can't really be ill. Drake must be threatening me. He's just getting revenge. She tried to deny it with every fiber of her being, but the tide of public opinion was unstoppable. I'm actually convinced by the rookie group now, one staff member whispered. It feels like they're the ones telling the truth. The movie queen really did her husband dirty. Lily was losing control of her emotions, her eyes vacant. Why are they talking about me like this? I didn't do anything wrong. They're just acting. She wanted to scream a rebuttal, but her mind was a complete void. She didn't know where to start or how to explain. She only felt an overwhelming sense of grievance. In her mind, Drake was the one being confrontational. He was the one who refused to understand her. She believed she had never truly intended to betray him. She wanted to stay with him. Even if her heart had wavered, she told herself she still loved Drake. On stage, lines eerily similar to her internal monologue were being delivered. I didn't betray you. I love you, the actress cried out. I grabbed her by the collar and delivered a stinging slap. You still feel like the victim? You embrace him, you kiss him, and yet you say you love me? You trample on my dignity just to protect him, but you say you love me? You let your team fabricate rumors, so I take the heat for everything, all because you love me. You controlled yourself enough not to go to bed with him, so you think you're virtuous, right? No affair, no wrongdoing. But the moment I resist, I'm making an irrational scene? The actress playing the wife was exceptional. Each slap I delivered sent her head snapping back, her neck nearly straining under the force. She perfectly portrayed that mask of shame mixed with a delusional sense of innocence. Let me ask you this, I continued coldly. If I found someone else right now and did exactly what you and he are doing, but I told you I still loved you, would you be happy? The actress's face went rigid with a mix of humiliation and fury. Ha! You are truly pathetic, a two-faced hypocrite. What right do you have to speak of love? Your love is disgusting. It makes me want to vomit. I must have been a mass murderer in a past life to deserve a love like yours. Backstage, Lily suddenly felt like she couldn't breathe. She clutched her head in agony, sliding down the wall to sit on the floor, gasping for air. Marcus looked at her in a panic, his eyes darting around, terrified that he would never be able to convince anyone of his lies again. This scene immediately gripped the gossip-hungry crowd backstage. Their eyes lit up like they'd just found a gold mine. They looked ready to charge forward and demand answers. However, seeing Lily clutching her head in such agony that she looked ready to smash it against the wall, they decided to restrain themselves. The crowd sensed that the movie queen was about to face a total collapse. Leo whispered, "She looks like she's in a bit of pain." Peach analyzed it further. Her moral high ground is crumbling. Something big is about to happen. Her manager shouted in a panic, "Don't get sucked into the narrative. She hasn't done anything wrong. She's the real victim here." On stage, the actress perfectly mirrored Lily's expression of deep grievance. I let out a mocking laugh. Do you honestly feel that merely refraining from a physical affair is enough of a reward for me? Am I supposed to be grateful that you gave up your true love just to give me a complete family? You carry the weight of that responsibility so miserably. You've truly sacrificed so much, haven't you? And yet, here I am, still screaming like a madman. It's simply incomprehensible, isn't it? I released my grip on her, letting her collapse to the floor. The actress couldn't help but shriek. Isn't it true? I sacrificed my true love for you. I am a victim too. I roared back in a fit of rage. Are you out of your mind? I could have had a much better life without you. If you want to cheat, then go. Just stop dragging me into your mess. Stop sitting there acting pitiful and hypocritical. Who asked for your sacrifice? Who do you think you are? Do you think I can't survive without you? You're nothing but a pile of rotting filth. This time, even the manager couldn't keep her footing. Lily, meanwhile, descended further into a state of sheer panic. She stared at the screen, her face ashen like burnt embers. She had lost the ability to think rationally. How did he guess my psychological state so accurately? Each insult felt like a lightning strike hitting her, making her vision go dark. The audience, both online and in the studio, listened with rapt attention. The most vulgar insults were bleeped out for the broadcast, but the Lunas family, present in the hall, heard every word and felt an immense sense of satisfaction. Finally, the stage lights began to fade. A single beam of light focused on the large screen, slowly cycling through breathtaking landscape photos. I did not reappear. Only my voice echoed through the hall. Without you, I could have met someone who truly respects, understands, and supports me. Someone who loves me wholeheartedly. I deserve to be treated that way. And even if I never met them, I could have taken all the energy I wasted on you and used it to love myself, to truly value who I am. Everyone watching this drama-filled mess was stunned by that final line. What they thought was just a petty spat between a rookie group and a movie queen had suddenly transformed into a profound statement on self-worth.
Exactly.
The theme for this PK was true love. Nowhere was it written that true love must be directed at someone else. It could very well be the act of loving oneself. The audience felt the performance reach a higher level of depth, and they couldn't help but inwardly praise me. You're a clever little fox, aren't you? Knowing exactly how to exploit the situation, some thought. As the lights faded into total darkness and the beeping sound effects ceased, everyone assumed the stage had ended. But then, my voice rang out one last time, playful and mocking, as if speaking directly to someone. Life always throws a few lunatics your way. Just crush them under your heel and move on. Otherwise, how could you call it an interesting life? Look ahead. A new life begins now. As we bowed, the hall erupted in thunderous applause. Father and Mother Lu waved their hands in excitement. Judging by the crowd's reaction, it wasn't hard to imagine the frenzy among the online viewers. The live broadcast transitioned into the MC interviewing the other guests in the waiting area. He asked for their opinions on the two performances, and everyone offered flowery, diplomatic praise about the acting. However, immediately afterward, they all made hasty excuses to flee the backstage camera's view. The excitement on their faces was impossible to hide. They were clearly racing toward the inner backstage to witness the inevitable fallout. The movie queen had already retreated backstage, and now it was the rookie group's turn to head down. The atmosphere back there was guaranteed to be electric. "Let me get a closer look," the MC muttered to himself, struggling to maintain his professional demeanor while glued to his monitor. He wanted to eat the melon just as badly as everyone else, but his job held him back. With the guests having vanished, he was forced to continue the interview with the professors from the performing arts school. Even they, however, were distracted, constantly glancing at their phones to check Weibo. The trending topics were completely dominated by this drama. New rumors and leaks were surfacing every second, creating a massive tidal wave of public outcry. Things had reached a point beyond repair. After this play, save for the most delusional diehard fans, everyone had seen the truth. One only needed a shred of logic to understand. This was a story of an unfaithful wife and a third party conspiring to gaslight the husband. Lily looked like she had lost her soul, spiraling into a deep pit of self-doubt. Her manager, however, was still desperately fighting, barking orders to save their public image. Despite the lack of hard evidence, most people were already swayed by the narrative of the play. The manager clung to the hope that if they could prove Lily never loved Drake, that Drake was a nuisance, and, most importantly, that Drake wasn't actually sick, they might still garner some support. Even now, the manager refused to believe our performance was 100% factual. She viewed it as a typical industry hit piece, a calculated smear campaign where truth and lies were expertly woven together. The manager assumed Drake was playing the same game as everyone else. To him, Drake was simply being ruthless, trying to completely extinguish Lily's career. Seeing the situation spiraling out of control, the manager ignored the onlookers and barked directly at Lily. "Contact him. Right now." Marcus, his face ashen, looked toward Lily for help. But Lily heard nothing but the echoes of my insults from the stage. Her mind was trapped in a loop. Am I really that much of a monster to Drake? Just because of a moment of distraction, because I noticed someone else? Has everything really come to this? Suddenly, Leo and I stepped into the backstage area. The initial murmurs died down instantly. Every eye in the room was fixed on us. Peach rushed over to welcome us with excitement. Felix greeted us with a forced smile, but the moment he spotted Father and Mother Lu walking in behind us, his smile twitched and became even more strained. Felix knew how to scold us, but in the presence of the elder Lunas, he knew exactly how to behave. The Lunas elders weren't just here to support us. They were here to eat the melon at the source. Sensing the tension, Lily's manager charged toward us. The room held its breath. Those sitting sat upright, and those standing straightened their backs, waiting for the explosion. The manager's phone was ringing incessantly, the situation online worsening by the second. Losing his cool entirely, he roared. "If you release a statement right now saying that play had nothing to do with us, that it was just a coincidence, we can act as if this never happened." Leo looked annoyed and glanced at Felix. Felix, knowing we didn't need to get our hands dirty, stepped forward. "Senior, what are you talking about?" Felix asked smoothly. "It's just a script. It's a standard performance. Why are you getting so worked up?" The manager, choking on his rage, spat out several insults. Felix just smiled. "We were only following the show's requirements. It's perfectly normal." Finally, the manager screamed, "Are you people sick? How much did Drake pay you to frame us like this?" Leo and I looked at the manager with pure disdain. "Frame you?" Leo countered. "Aren't you the ones who have been framing everyone else?" The manager looked as if someone were strangling him. The onlookers were doubling over, clutching their stomachs to keep from laughing out loud. "Do you really think you can win like this?" the manager hissed viciously. You have no standing here. Don't forget, Drake is Lily's husband. Couples fight at the start and make up at the end. Up until now, he hasn't released a single shred of evidence against her. That proves he can't bear to leave her. He's just trying to force Lily to bow her head. He pointed a finger at us. You are just tools being used by him. The moment Lily reconciles with him, you'll be the ones left in the dirt. Everyone will think you were the ones who maliciously smeared her reputation. The manager was playing a classic game of diversion and bluff. He wasn't certain he could control Drake at all, considering his calls were going straight to voicemail, but he was trying to gaslight us into doubting our own position, hoping we would flinch and give them a legal or social loophole. Too late. The gears were already in motion. The Lunas family leaned in, eavesdropping with practiced stealth. The surrounding crowd, however, looked genuinely confused. They started whispering. Wait, if the rookies are really helping Drake, why hasn't he provided harder evidence? Is this really just a messy domestic spat? How disgusting. In that moment, Lily's eyes suddenly lit up as if she had regained her footing. A flush returned to her pale cheeks. She oscillated between loving him and hating him, but ultimately, she convinced herself he couldn't possibly let her go, that this was all just a desperate plea for her attention. Earlier, she thought Drake was being ruthless by severing ties, but now she told herself he was just throwing a tantrum. Whether she was truly that delusional or simply terrified of the truth, she actually managed to reconcile with herself. She stood up, walked toward us with renewed confidence, and said sternly, Drake and I will reconcile. He will help clear everything up. I suggest you stop trying to incite conflict between us. Seeing her smug confidence made me want to burst out laughing. She had done everything possible to destroy him, yet she still had the audacity to demand his help. I truly hope she maintains that same confidence later. Even though her husband is a CEO, I'm just here to lie flat and watch the world burn. The audience in the studio was now buzzing with doubt. If Lily could actually convince Drake to take her back, it would be the ultimate plot twist. The director and producer were drenched in sweat, their nerves completely fried. They couldn't tell fact from fiction anymore and decided to just let the cameras roll. This was a golden opportunity for ratings, after all. According to the format, both teams had to return to the stage for the results. The judges' scores and the live audience votes would be tallied. Before the scoring, each team was given a chance to speak. The massive screen behind us displayed a chaotic stream of live comments. At a glance, the majority were slamming the movie Queen's team. However, thanks to the manager's quick work and hired water armies, professional commenters, the battle in the comments wasn't entirely one-sided. There were still plenty of voices defending Lily. The MC stepped forward, his voice echoing through the tense silence. We'll start with the rookie team. Team Top Tier. Please share your final thoughts. Leo and I casually tossed out a few flowery remarks, appearing indifferent while no one noticed the star icons populating the screen with increasing density. When it was the movie Queen's turn, Marcus took the stage with bloodshot eyes, looking as though he had just finished a long crying session. Lily maintained her persona as the cold, aloof movie queen. Like a lotus rising from the mud unsullied, she took the microphone and declared solemnly, "A person of integrity is naturally cleared of suspicion." As the words left her mouth, the entire hall fell into a deathly silence. Below the stage, the audience kept glancing back and forth between their phones and the stage with meaningful looks. Lily frowned, eventually handing the mic to Marcus. He stammered with a display of shy embarrassment, saying, "I'm sorry for troubling everyone, but I have no regrets." He then bowed with a sense of dramatic grievance, leaving his unspoken words to hang in the air. At that exact moment, a figure charged onto the stage and delivered a thunderous slap directly across Marcus's face. "You shameless, disgusting man." Marcus was hit so hard he couldn't keep his footing. Luckily, Lily caught him. This was destined to be a classic live broadcast disaster. The audience had been bombarded with so much melodrama that no one even bothered to rush up and help. Everyone heard Lily gasp in shock. "Mother? Why are you here?" Immediately after, Lily's father rushed up and slapped her twice across the face. His hands trembled as he pulled his wife back, roaring, "Lily, how can you show your face like this? Are you worthy of Drake's parents? We are truly disappointed in you. Destroying your own marriage for the sake of one man. How could we have a child like you?" Lily stood frozen, never imagining her own parents wouldn't believe her. She had intended to use a temporary tactic to sway opinion, but little did she know that as soon as the elders stepped off their cruise ship, they were confronted with her exposure on the live stream. They had rushed there in a panic, hoping their daughter would repent, only to find the raw truth laid bare. Seeing her daughter still clutching Marcus with a pitiful expression, Lily's mother, her eyes bloodshot, shouted in a rage. "Back then, we were kind enough to send you away and helped you so much. Who knew you hadn't changed at all, having the audacity to come back and seduce another man's wife?" With that, she lunged forward, grabbed Marcus by the hair, and slapped him twice. Lily tried desperately to stop them. "Mom, Dad, stop making a scene. Did Drake send you here? Still protecting him? It's a sin." Lily's mother wept, realizing her daughter was unrepentant. "We should never have meddled in your affairs." Lily began to spiral into total panic, completely forgetting she was on a live broadcast. She forgot her script, only repeating that Drake wouldn't leave her and that she would talk things through with him. "It's too late, daughter. Far too late. Turn around and look," her mother said heartbrokenly. Lily turned. The massive screen was now flooded with comments that had shifted entirely. Her manager, clutching his phone to handle the crisis, watched his hands shake so violently that he dropped and shattered the device. Drake had used his official photography account to post a specific set of photos. "Everyone, go look. The childhood photos together. This is the evidence." There are pictures of Drake with the girl he loved, photos of him as CEO, and documents of the investment projects he managed. The evidence is as solid as a mountain. There's even a statement from a former company employee. If Drake hadn't been the backbone of the operation, how could Lily have achieved so much? And now she's just burning the bridge after crossing it. Marcus didn't care about the live broadcast or the pain anymore. He scrambled to grab his phone to search the rumors online. It was all true. He looked like he had aged 10 years in an instant. In his heart, he had always relied on Lily's importance to Drake. He believed Drake wouldn't have the heart to destroy her, but the situation had completely changed. When Lily saw such clear evidence, her first thought was that this information couldn't have been leaked by Drake. Drake submitted Lily's full health report from a year ago, yet they cropped it to feed the fans vague lies. Was it fun deceiving them? Only Drake had that report. He must have been the one to release it. Lily's face turned as pale as a corpse. She frantically called Drake, but no one answered. He must be hiding. What do we do now? Lily's mother sighed. Lily immediately called her lawyer. The lawyer spoke first. "Congratulations, Ms. Lily. Drake has signed the divorce papers." These words echoed through her phone and out into the studio. The entire set went silent. Even the live comments froze for a second. "No, that's a lie. We don't really want a divorce. Have you talked to him? You can't do this." Lily lost all her composure, nearly screaming. The lawyer replied, "I carried out your requests exactly, but Drake doesn't see it that way. He has authorized us to handle the division of assets." Lily's face drained of all color as she shrieked, "No, we aren't getting divorced. You have to destroy that agreement." "I'm sorry, ma'am, but Drake has just entered the operating room. He is expected to be unreachable for the next 10 hours. Once he comes out, the two of you will be officially divorced. Because this surgery carries significant risk, Drake has authorized us to settle his estate as well, so you may need to cooperate quickly regarding the asset distribution." Lily's body went numb, her hands trembling violently, her voice choked. What did you say?" The lawyer replied. "Did you not know Drake was ill? He has been hospitalized for months." The film crew and the audience were stunned. It turned out that the roles Leo and I played weren't an exaggeration at all. But Drake's condition had been unexpectedly exposed to the world. A certain hospital had just released Drake's records. The medical diagnosis and the surgery consent forms were all signed by his own hand. Is Drake really sick? And Lily didn't even know? Lily's mother was driven to madness by the news and began slapping Lily relentlessly. Lily's father stood frozen in place, shouting in a rage, "Drake has no parents left. He only had you. And yet you let him get this sick?" Meanwhile, her mother delivered another slap so hard that Lily nearly collapsed. Despite her status as a movie queen, in the eyes of the public, she was nothing more than a daughter being pathetically disciplined by her parents. The manager, desperate to stop things from getting worse, rushed in to intervene. However, the director and producer saw this as a golden opportunity to skyrocket the viewership and refused to cut the feed. In their eyes, the movie queen was officially finished. "I didn't know. He didn't tell me," Lily muttered, her voice laced with disbelief. Leo and I stood there stunned, only able to sigh quietly at the unfolding chaos. Even now, she's still blaming others. Truly shameless, Leo sneered. Turns out our acting earlier was an understatement. On the screen, the comment section was an absolute sea of vitriol. Lily still hadn't hung up the phone, and from the other end, Claire's voice came through. It seemed the lawyer and Claire were standing together outside the operating room. Lily, even now you want to pin all the blame on the victim? Claire's voice was cold. When Drake was hospitalized, we reminded him that he had to notify his family. He called you right in front of the doctor. Have you already forgotten how you answered him? Lily's breath hitched as a memory suddenly clawed its way back to the surface. You told him he was just acting. You even said you hated him for being so competitive and told him you hoped he really was sick, just to spite him, Claire said coldly. Lily panicked, scrambling for an excuse. That was when we were fighting. I thought he was just talking without thinking. Then why didn't you say anything afterward? Claire countered. If you wanted to see the reports, why did you act like Drake was constantly lying to you? Lily's mother, hearing the conversation through the phone, shrieked in agony. Drake isn't like that. She lunged forward, hitting Lily in the chest in a fit of grief. How did you become like this? We don't even recognize you anymore. Lily's head spun. Claire delivered the final killing blow. The day after Drake spoke to you, rumors broke out that you were at the hospital, but you were there accompanying Marcus. Drake probably realized then that there was nothing left to say. Lily's face went white. Marcus looked like a ghost. I couldn't help myself. I stepped in with a biting remark. Drake has been sick for nearly 3 months. Last time I went shopping and saw her, I could tell something wasn't right. I interjected sarcastically. The movie queen hasn't seen her husband in 3 months? I guess she was too busy with others. Leo let out a mocking laugh. Maybe it's just bad eyesight. She only has eyes for other men's minor scratches. She's terrified of those. It's definitely a vision problem. I wonder what his illness is, I whispered to Leo, loud enough for the entire hall to hear. She assumed he was faking. Even if he were dying right in front of her, she probably wouldn't notice. Lily could barely stay on her feet. Her lips trembled violently. She wanted to deny everything, but she could only shake her head in a frenzied, painful daze. These revelations sent both the online and live audiences into a state of total uproar. The more I think about it, the more disgusting it gets, one person commented. I thought their romance was sweet as candy. Turns out it was just filth. I want to vomit. To think I actually liked her and shipped them. All of you who insulted the husband, get out here and apologize. I'm apologizing right now. Kneel and apologize to Big Brother Drake. I'm sorry I couldn't see the truth. I supported a wicked woman and a pathetic man. Wicked woman and a coward. Get out of the entertainment industry. Amidst the chaos, the lawyer maintained his professional poise. Ms. Lily, I have fulfilled your requests. I am hanging up now. Lily suddenly snapped out of her trance.
No. Where are you? I
have to go and stop him. How can he undergo surgery alone? I'm going to stay with him. I don't want a divorce. It's all a mistake. Lily cried out in a panic, her tears finally streaming down her face. Is she really still trying to cling to Drake? I couldn't help but wonder. The lawyer's voice came through one last time. Regardless of your intentions or what happens in the future, the legal effect is settled. You were the one who signed those papers and handed them to Drake. Therefore, the right to finalize the divorce belonged to him. And he has chosen to end it. With that, the lawyer hung up decisively. I almost died laughing. Was Lily actually trying to stage a fake divorce to help Marcus clear his name, thinking Drake would just play along? Was her head filled with water? How could she be so delusional to think her husband would agree to such a preposterous scheme? Had she lost her mind over this man? The live comments were a nonstop barrage of ridicule. The massive screen was now unbearable to look at. Consumed by grief and fury, Lily's father and mother forcibly dragged her away. As soon as she disappeared from the stage, the screen was flooded with insults calling her a traitor and Marcus a shameless homewrecker. Marcus couldn't bear the pressure any longer. He broke down in tears and fled the stage. Before the final votes were even officially tallied, Team Top Tier had firmly secured a landslide victory in the first PK. Back at home, the Lunas family and I couldn't tear ourselves away from the screen, continuing to follow the fallout online. We saw even more detailed evidence of the illicit relationship between Lily and Marcus surfacing. Despite everything, they still stubbornly insisted there was no physical affair. I was truly impressed by their audacity. Before going to bed, I heard two major pieces of news. First, Drake's surgery was complete, but he had not yet regained consciousness. Lily and her parents had rushed to the hospital, but since the legal relationship had been severed, the hospital refused to grant them visitation rights. They were left with no choice but to wait in the hallway like strangers. Second, the higher authorities issued an official notice. Both the movie queen and Marcus were publicly condemned for defamation, moral bankruptcy, and creating a negative social impact. All of their endorsement contracts and collaborations were terminated immediately. Their past romantic works were torn apart by netizens and had to be temporarily pulled from platforms. The movie queen and Marcus had become like rats crossing the street, hated and cursed by everyone. Meanwhile, thousands of people began praying for Drake, hoping he would recover quickly and start a brand new life. 3 days later, I was sleeping in. This was my first of 3 days off after finishing the show, so I didn't have to head to the studio for classes. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Groggily, I opened it to find Mother Lou and Leo standing there looking extremely agitated. "Luna just messaged the group. Drake is awake," Mother Lou said excitedly. I snapped awake instantly. That's wonderful. Good things really do happen to good people. But the two of them were so restless and worried I'd sleep through the news that they had come to wake me personally, even though they usually never care how late I sleep. "But he has amnesia," Mother Lou added, her voice trembling with excitement. They looked at me expectantly after dropping this bombshell. Sure enough, my thoughts started racing. Amnesia? Seriously? Let me check. Oh my god, it really happened. And it's the dramatic kind, selective amnesia. He has completely forgotten Lily. The expressions on Leo and Mother Lou's faces were priceless. While the doctors near Claire were still studying the case, my inner rumors were already ahead of the curve. How intense, to forget only Lily. Just how much did he have to hate her for his brain to selectively wipe every trace of her existence? But then, a worry crept in. Will Lily try to trick him? What if she keeps pestering him for a remarriage? Leo and his mother clearly felt the same. We shared a knowing glance. We had never visited Luna's workplace before, but today was an exception. I suggested we go visit Sister Claire, and the two of them immediately got ready to bolt. When we arrived at the hospital, Claire came down to meet us. We felt a bit awkward being there, but Claire's face was flushed with urgency. Lily and her parents already found out about his condition. They're in his room right now. The four of us, fueled by adrenaline and curiosity, rushed toward Drake's ward, pretending we were just there for a standard visit. As we reached the door, we heard Lily's voice, hoarse and thick with pain. "Drake, do you really not remember me? I'm your wife." The four of us Melaneaters, exchanged worried glances, our hearts pounding. But then, Drake's voice rang out, clear, vibrant, and sounding like a sharp college student wary of a stranger. "In my memory, I don't have any friends, but I'm not stupid," Drake said firmly. "I know you are the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Brown. We grew up together. As for being married, we're divorced now. I have the divorce papers and the asset division records right here on my phone. My wedding ring is in the trash can. Stop trying to deceive me. You are, at best, my ex-wife." Lily refused to back down. "That was an accident. It was a fake divorce. I never intended to actually leave you." Drake cut her off sharply. "I don't care what / you intended. I know myself. I don't play meaningless games. If I decided to divorce you, it means I didn't want to be with you anymore. You want to trick me? Not a chance." We pushed the door open and saw Drake. He looked sharp and intelligent, his head wrapped in white bandages, his eyes bright and piercing. He was no longer fixated on Lily the way he used to be. The moment he saw us, his attention shifted instantly. It's you guys," he said with a smile. "Teacher Ethan, hello. I remember you. You helped me out at the shopping center, and I've also watched the clips of your performances online." "Thank you so much," Drake said with a bright, genuine smile. Those performances had helped ease his fear of amnesia. I smiled back. "I heard you were awake, so I came to visit." I hadn't expected that a life without Lily's interference would make him look so full of life. The three members of the Lunas family were equally stunned. It felt like meeting an entirely different person. They had seen Drake before. He used to look like a withered flower, but now he was like a freshly sprouted seed. As I looked past him, I saw Lily kneeling by the hospital bed, pleading in deep sorrow. Her parents stood beside her, wiping away tears. The moment Drake saw me, he immediately turned a cold gaze toward Lily. I loved you. For so many years? I must have been blind. You are a terrible person. You've been having an affair for 4 years. What was there to love? Your dishonesty? Your lack of respect for me? Or the fact that I gave up my dreams for you? Did you put a spell on me? He added, rubbing his head in disgust. Lily was stunned by his sharp words, but her parents couldn't help but intervene. They spoke cautiously. Drake, we are so sorry. She was foolish and had no boundaries, but she truly loves you. She hasn't eaten or slept for days. She's like the walking dead. We believe you are in her heart. We hate what she did too, but could you give her one more chance? Since you've forgotten the bad memories, let her take care of you for the rest of your life. The 4 of us Melaneaters stood in dead silence, grateful that Drake remained clear-headed. Uncle, Auntie, if it were just a minor mistake, I wouldn't say a word. You watched me grow up, so you should know my character. I cannot be with someone I don't love. Moreover, I know she has wronged me deeply, and now I don't even want to see her face. If she keeps appearing every day, I feel like I'll need another surgery. Drake clutched his head with a pained expression. His words almost made the 4 of us burst out laughing. Lily should just consider herself dead to me, for better or worse. Don't show up again. If you do, I'll despise you even more. Drake waved them away. Uncle, Auntie, please take her away. I don't want to be disturbed. I need to rest. Her parents looked at their daughter with eyes full of helplessness, then bowed one last time to apologize to Drake. They dragged Lily, who was now like a hollow shell, out of the hospital room. Shortly thereafter, on her official social media account, Lily posted a brief status. I am officially retiring from the entertainment industry. I am sorry for everything. Marcus also vanished from the public eye after being sued by numerous brands for millions in damages. The story of the movie queen and her moonlight lover gradually faded into oblivion. After the media storm surrounding Drake and Lily has finally settled, Ethan returns to his room at the Lunas villa. He sits on the edge of his bed, feeling an overwhelming sense of exhaustion. Suddenly, a voice resonates in his mind, clearer and more echoing than ever before.
Ting.
Mission: protect the Lunas family and purify negative energy is 100% complete. The melon-eating system is now officially detaching from the host, wishing the host a life of freedom and happiness. Farewell. In the hallway, Mr. Liu, Mrs. Liu, Leo, Claire, and Luna are walking past when they all freeze at once. They hear the voice loud and clear, emanating from Ethan's room. It is the final time they hear that stranger's voice in their minds. From that exact second, Ethan's inner world returns to a state of absolute silence for them. Inside the room, Ethan is visibly confused and panicked. He tries calling for the system several times, but he is met only with silence. He feels as though he has lost a shield, an eye that could see through the world's deceptions. Just then, the door opens softly and Luna walks in. Seeing his distraught expression, she sits down beside him. Ethan, what's wrong? You don't look happy. Ethan forces a smile. I was just thinking a bit about the future. Luna looks at him, her eyes filled with a tenderness she never showed before. You know, before I didn't really pay attention to you. In this house, you were so faded that sometimes I forgot you were even here. But lately, you've become a completely different person. You're stronger, more decisive, and you've made my heart skip a beat. Ethan is stunned. He knows Luna is talking about the old Ethan of this body, whereas he is the one who crossed over to replace him. Luna takes his hand and says sincerely, I've realized that I truly love the person you are now. Regarding the divorce we talked about before, can we cancel it? I want us to live as a truly happy husband and wife. Ethan's brain freezes for a few seconds. In his mind, his practical and slightly humorous side starts running the numbers. It's a bit of a shame. If we don't divorce, I lose that $2 million settlement fee.
He thinks to himself.
But then he looks around the luxurious room and remembers the warm family meals with the Lunas. Mr. and Mrs. Liu treat him like their own son, and Leo looks up to him as a spiritual pillar. Furthermore, Luna is not only beautiful but is currently managing several high-potential investment projects in his name. Her money is his money, and he gets to hold a beautiful woman every night. Adding it all up, this is a massive profit. Ethan smiles and pulls Luna into his arms. All right, we won't divorce. I don't want to leave this family, and I certainly don't want to leave you. 1 year later. In the lush garden of the Luna's villa, a warm family gathering is taking place. Suddenly, Luna's phone rings with a FaceTime notification. She smiles and gathers everyone around. On the screen is Mia, looking vibrant and stylish against a backdrop of a foreign university campus. "Hey, everyone, look at your favorite student," Mia chirps, waving enthusiastically. "I have great news. I'm officially finishing my program at the top of my class. I've already started packing because I'm coming home for good next year." Mrs. Liu wipes a happy tear from her eye. "That's wonderful, Mia. We miss you so much. The house isn't the same without your chatter." "Don't worry, Mom. Next year, I'll be back to annoy Leo every single day," Mia jokes, making everyone laugh. Leo grins and shows Mia his phone. "Well, you'll have to wait in line because I'll be busy. She's abroad, and we've reconnected through work. I'm determined to win her back." Ethan and Luna. They stand close together, watching the family interact. Ethan realizes that while he can no longer hear the world's secrets, he has gained the greatest and most precious secret of all: true happiness.